Chapter 806, The Calm Before the Storm. Dragon Gate, in 3 days, I, Bianjiang II, will lead the experts of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect to destroy you and await your death. A voice filled with boundless anger came from the burly elder's mouth and instantly spread throughout the entire Jianghu. It was the voice of an immortal god, and it was the voice of a superior immortal. According to the division of strength between immortal gods, a middle-level immortal was able to fight against 4 lower-level immortals. And a higher-level immortal could fight against 4 middle-level immortals. If a lower-level immortal wanted to fight against a higher-level immortal, they would need at least 15 to 20. In the entire Jianghu, only the Shenyuan clan, the Yuan clan, and the Beast clan were known to have a higher-level immortal. It was unknown whether the other immortal sects had a higher-level immortal. And today, when the hearts of the people of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect wavered, their supreme elder had no choice but to come out. Moreover, today was not only a declaration, but also a declaration. He would flatten the territory and lead the Holy Medicine Immortal sect to destroy the Dragon Gate. The supreme elder is actually still alive. Moreover, our 2 immortal sects have a total of 12 immortal gods, a total of 12. Haha, superior immortal, our supreme elder has the strength of a superior immortal. According to the supreme elder's words, the supreme elder is going to lead the experts of the immortal sect to destroy the Dragon Gate. The Dragon Gate is going to be finished, they are going to be finished. Haha, this is great, this is simply great. Kill the experts of our 2 immortal sects and besiege our immortal gods. 3 days later, our Grand Supreme will exterminate you. This is too satisfying, too domineering. This is our Grand Supreme Elder. Who cares about the agreement between the immortal gods? Kill them. In an instant, the 2 disciples of the immortal sect below revealed excited expressions. Their eyes lit up as they shouted loudly. After being sullen for more than half a month, the news of the immortal god being killed had finally been released today. If the supreme elder of the immortal sect made a move, the Dragon Gate would definitely be destroyed. A dignified voice spread throughout the entire Jianghu. While all the martial artists in the Jianghu were discussing the Dragon Gate in shock, discussing the unlucky Holy Medicine Immortal sect, the voice of an immortal god reached everyone's ears. It was extremely clear. This voice was definitely not something that an ordinary immortal god could transmit. In an instant, everyone was stunned. A look of astonishment appeared on their faces. Soon after, they opened their mouths slightly, and their faces were filled with shock. What is the Holy Medicine Immortal sect trying to do? Are they going to start a war and disregard the agreement between the immortals and gods? Are the immortals and gods directly participating in the battle? This voice is definitely not coming from a mid-level immortal. A high-level immortal. The Holy Medicine Immortal sect has a high-level immortal. Bianjiang II. Bianjiang II seems to be the former supreme elder of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. Didn't they say that the immortal had passed away more than 10 years ago? He didn't die. This time, the Dragon Gate has really broken the sky. The Dragon Gate experts can kill the immortal god, and the Holy Medicine Immortal sect doesn't care about the agreement between the immortal god and the immortal god. They are going to fight to the death. The Holy Medicine Immortal sect has made it clear that if they don't care about the agreement between the immortal god and the immortal god, how will the other immortal sects react? What about the Yuan clan of the Shenyuan clan? The entire Jianghu was in an uproar again. Just as all the disciples of the immortal sects thought that the Holy Medicine Immortal sect would be beaten up by the Dragon Gate from now on, the 2 immortal sects suddenly turned the tables. The superior immortal directly declared that he would destroy the Dragon Gate. The words of a superior immortal were not a joke. Moreover, at this time, they clearly disregarded the agreement between the immortals and gods. According to the news from the Holy Medicine Immortal sect, the 2 immortal sects currently have a total of 12 immortals, 1 superior immortal, 3 middle immortals, and 8 inferior immortals. Heavens, this is simply too terrifying. Now that the 2 immortal sects have been forced to violate the immortal god agreement, if the Shen Yuan clan doesn't intervene and stop them, the Dragon Gate will probably be destroyed. That's right. At this time, unless the Shen Yuan clan and the Yuan clan use the Immortal God Agreement to suppress this matter, the Dragon Gate's strength will definitely be destroyed. The strength displayed by the two immortal sects once again shocked everyone. If they really started fighting, the Dragon Gate would probably be destroyed. At this moment, Bianjiang Tu's announcement not only shocked the disciples of the immortal sects, but even the immortal gods had solemn expressions on their faces. At the first moment, the Grand Elder of the Shen Yuan clan and the Grand Elder of the Yuan clan led a group of immortal gods to gather together. More than a dozen immortal gods from the two immortal sects arrived and sat on both sides, frowning. As expected, the Holy Doctor Holy Medicine Immortal sect has a superior immortal. Now, Bianjiang Tu has announced that he will mobilize the immortal god power to destroy the Dragon Gate. Once they make a move, the Immortal God Agreement will become a piece of scrap paper. The Immortal God Agreement was an agreement between the Shen Yuan clan and the Yuan clan. Now that someone was violating it, they had to take the lead. Otherwise, the other immortal gods wouldn't find trouble for themselves. A middle-aged immortal god from the Shen Yuan clan said in a deep voice. It's the Dragon Gate that has forced the Holy Doctor Holy Medicine Immortal sect into a corner. If they don't take action, their two immortal sects will be completely defeated by the Dragon Gate in the future. They will naturally be unwilling to be defeated by an immortal sect weaker than them. A middle-aged immortal god from the Yuan clan raised his eyebrows and said, "The two immortal sects have a superior immortal, and they're already cornered. It's not easy to solve this." Another immortal god from the Yuan clan echoed. The Holy Medicine Immortal sect had a superior immortal, and their strength was on the surface. They were no longer afraid of Shenyuan and Yuan. Now, one immortal god from the immortal sect had been killed. If they didn't respond, the two immortal sects would be completely finished in the future. It was reasonable for a superior immortal to personally declare that they wanted to destroy the Dragon Gate. Is the Immortal God Agreement going to be scrapped just like that? An old man from the Shenyuan clan frowned and said with an unpleasant expression, "The Immortal God Agreement is to protect ordinary people. Now, because of the Immortal God Agreement, if the immortal god's life is threatened..." An old man from the Yuan clan continued, but he didn't finish his words. But everyone knew what he meant. Let's make a trip to the Holy Medicine Immortal sect first and see if there's any leeway. If there's no leeway, then so be it. The Yuan clan's supreme elder stood up and said to the Shenyuan clan's supreme elder in front of him, "All right." The Shenyuan clan's supreme elder slowly nodded. If it could be resolved peacefully, then it would be resolved peacefully. If it couldn't, then it would be very difficult for them to do so. They couldn't possibly punish the entire Holy Doctor Holy Medicine Immortal sect, could they? This was obviously impossible. The other party's strength was very strong. Moreover, the Yuan clan's people clearly didn't want to interfere in this matter. The Shen Yuan clan was also very hesitant. After all, the Dragon Gate's experts were able to ambush and kill immortal gods. This was too terrifying. The immortal gods from the two great immortal sects immediately headed to the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. The matter of the Shen Yuan clan and the Yuan clan heading to the two great immortal sects was not concealed. At that moment, everyone understood that whether or not this great battle would happen would depend on the conversations of the few great immortal sect. Chapter 807, Chance to Forgive. Time passed slowly. Ever since the Dragon Gate's powerhouse killed the immortal god, the Grand Elder of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect suddenly appeared and decided to destroy the Dragon Gate. The entire Jianghu was in an uproar. A day had passed. All the immortal sects in Jianghu were waiting for news from the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. The immortal god of the Shenyuan and Yuan clan had already passed. Everyone was waiting for the outcome. At this moment, Wang Xian and the group of girls were at the leisure area on the floating island. Wang Xian was lying on the sofa in satisfaction. Guan Shuqing was playing with the heavenly dog while Xiao Yu and the rest were playing with their phones and paying attention to the happenings on the Jianghu internet. When he was about to kill the immortals and the Grand Elder of the Holy Medicine sect, Wang Xian had brought all the members of the Dragon Palace back. It was time to end this. There was no point in blocking the city gates anymore. However, the fact that the two immortal sects had a superior immortal was a little out of Wang Xian's expectations. Even so, Wang Xian was not afraid at all. He had already reached the level of a superior immortal. Even if they were to fight now, the Dragon Palace was more than enough to accept the challenge. The Holy Doctor and Holy Medicine Immortal Sect has made a statement. They asked Brother to apologize personally and sent an immortal god for them to kill. After that, they took out a large amount of resources to compensate us and let us off. Ch. The people of the two immortal sects are really arrogant. They actually threatened to destroy us as long as we didn't take them out. At this moment, an angry voice came from Xiao Yu's side. Come, let me take a look. Wang Xian reached out his hand and took Xiao Yu's phone. He looked at the statement issued by the Holy Medicine sect with a smile. He took a look and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. This result was obviously the result of the discussion between the two sects and Shenyuan Yuan. Only when he admitted defeat and offered compensation would the two immortal sects let him go. Otherwise, they would still exterminate their Dragon Gate 3 days later. This made Wang Xian smile coldly. Exterminating his Dragon Gate, they were really arrogant. It was not certain who would exterminate who. However, the news from the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect shocked all the disciples of the immortal sects. It seemed that the result of their negotiation with the Shenyuan Yuan clan had come out, and the two immortal sects had raised this condition. How should the Dragon sect choose? This condition is very harsh. The Dragon King may not agree, but if he doesn't agree, he may be directly destroyed. The Holy Medicine sect has a superior immortal, and the overall situation has changed in an instant. On the Jianghu, all the disciples of the immortal sects looked at the news silently. 3 days had passed, and the next 2 days would soon come. Another day had passed, but the Dragon Gate did not reply. The entire Jianghu was paying attention to this matter. Once the Dragon King did not admit defeat, it would be a war between immortals and gods. At that time, more immortals would die, and even the entire Dragon Gate would be destroyed. However, in the past 2 days, the disciples of the two immortal sects had been completely elated. They had been shouting proudly on the Jianghu website that the Dragon Gate would definitely be destroyed and the Dragon Gate would definitely die. All the disciples of the immortal sects also agreed very much. Now that even the Shenyuan clan and the Yuan clan had compromised on the agreement between the immortals and gods, the strength of the two immortal sects was truly unstoppable. If the Dragon Gate didn't know what was good for them, the consequences would be disastrous. Other than them escaping, they must never be discovered by the two immortal sects and become a stray dog. The storm was coming, the tranquility before the storm. The closer the time was, the entire Jianghu could feel a depressing atmosphere. Everyone's gaze was fixed on the Jiang city and the area of Yaroding. Wang Xian stood at the highest point of the floating island and looked at the ocean in front of him. He was considering whether he should fight or wait. If he waited for some time, he would wait until the 9-headed Hui broke through. If he were to fight, it would be a draw at most. Dragon King. At this moment, Prime Minister Gui's figure suddenly appeared at the bottom of the ocean in front of him. Wang Xian was slightly surprised. Prime Minister Gui, why are you here? Dragon King, you once told me that if the 9-headed Hui. You mean? Wang Xian's eyes lit up and a smile appeared on his face. Yes. Prime Minister Gui nodded his head. Even the heavens want you to be exterminated as soon as possible. A faint smile appeared on Wang Xian's face. Tomorrow night, call all the immortals and deities of the Dragon Palace over. It's the Dragon King. Prime Minister Gui nodded his head heavily. 3 days later, give them a surprise. Wang Xian looked at the Holy Medicine sect and revealed a cold smile on his face. The 3rd day had arrived. All the disciples of the Holy Medicine sect in the martial arts world were paying attention to the information on the martial arts world's internet and the situation of the Dragon sect. Just as many people expected, the Dragon King of the Dragon sect did not respond at all. The next big battle was inevitable. Dragon Gate, today, even if you run to the ends of the earth, we, the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine Immortal Sect, will destroy you. On the morning of the third day, a roar reverberated through the entire world. Destroy the Dragon Gate. Kill the Dragon Gate. Kill all of them. At the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine Immortal Sect, located in Yaroding, 12 immortal gods were floating above the East Gate. Behind them, more than 1,000 experts from the two immortal sects were fully armed and following behind them. Each of them was full of fighting spirit and killing intent. In the holy city, all the disciples and family members of the two immortal sects were shouting with excitement on their faces. Today's expedition will definitely eliminate every disciple of the Dragon Gate and hang the head of the Dragon King on the holy city to warn everyone of the consequences if they dare to oppose our Holy Medicine Immortal Sect. The burly Grand Elder who was clad in fiery red armor shouted with a cold face. Yes, kill the Dragon King, kill the Dragon King. The group of experts from the Holy Doctor Holy Medicine Immortal Sect roared loudly. Their voices shook the sky and filled the entire area with a murderous aura. Hiss, this is simply too terrifying. At this moment, within a range of 10 to 20 kilometers, a dense group of experts from the immortal sects floated in the sky and looked in the direction of the two great immortal sects. Seeing the terrifying aura coming from there, all of them sucked in a breath of cold air. This battle had attracted the attention of countless experts from the immortal sects. This was a battle that attracted the attention of tens of thousands of people. This time, the Dragon Gate is doomed. An immortal god hidden in the void slowly sighed. A high-level immortal, 3 middle-level immortals, and 8 lower-level immortals. This power could disregard the agreement between the immortals and gods. It was too shocking. Holy Medicine, Son, follow me into battle. Holy Medicine, Son, follow me into battle. The two immortal gods roared loudly, and their earth-shaking voices rang out once more. Fight, fight, fight. The disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect roared loudly, their faces slightly red. Fight with the immortal gods and destroy the Dragon Gate. All of the immortal gods of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect brought with them the top-tier fighting power of the Immortal Sect. They looked forward with a mighty momentum. Roar, roar, roar. At this moment, an earth-shaking roar was heard. 9 roars and the space trembled. Chapter 808. Despot. Roar, roar, roar. 9 whistling sounds rang out. While the immortal gods of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect were filled with fighting spirit, the disciples of the two immortal sects were filled with fighting spirit and vowed to exterminate the Dragon Sect. While the disciples and family members of the two immortal sects were filled with excitement in the holy city. Just as they were about to set off for battle, 9 terrifying roars rang out. The voices were filled with violence, coldness, and brutality. In an instant, the entire world seemed to shake. The eyes of the immortal gods and the experts from the immortal sects who were gathered around to watch the battle suddenly narrowed. Everyone looked toward the east with shocked expressions. This is... Heavens, this. The infant realm experts and the few hidden immortal gods suddenly revealed shocked expressions. Their bodies couldn't help but tremble in the air. In the sky above the eastern gate of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect, 9 roars caused the expressions of the people from the two immortal sects to change slightly. Their gazes flickered as they looked ahead. However, because the voices were too far away, they couldn't see clearly at all. However, in the next second, 9 terrifying behemoths suddenly appeared in everyone's line of sight. 9 green-colored behemoths with 2 horns on their heads, their bodies reaching a terrifying size of around 20 meters. Their bodies were 3 meters wide and their scales were the size of a human head. They contained a terrifying wind attribute energy. They had a ferocious head and their green eyes were filled with coldness. The 9 terrifying creatures emitted a desolate aura. Just their aura was definitely not something that an ordinary immortal could compare to. When they saw the appearance of the 9 terrifying creatures, everyone's expression changed. There's still someone up there. Right at this moment, an infant stage expert from the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva as he spoke loudly. There was someone up there. 10 figures, a total of 10 figures stood on top. One was a devil monkey that held a metal rod. One was an old man that carried a turtle shell on his back. One was a prawn that was covered in golden light and possessed 2 huge pincers. A beautiful woman with a blue shell on her back. A prawn covered in terrifying lightning had a thunder hammer in one hand and a thunder spear in the other. A middle-aged swordsman with a long sword in his hand. However, a man and a woman stood in the middle of the 9 terrifying creatures. The man was naturally the Dragon King of Dragongate, while the woman was the Dragon King's girlfriend. They stood on each of the 9 terrifying bodies, and a terrifying energy was emitted from their bodies. Every force made the lower-level immortal's heart palpitate, especially the aura emitted by the central Dragon King. It was terrifying. 17 immortal gods. Oh my god, it's actually 17 immortal gods. That's not right. There should be another immortal god who is good at hiding in the void. According to the matter of the strange Thorn clan, there's a white shadow who is also an immortal god who is good at hiding. That means there are 18 of them. There are actually so many strange immortal gods among them. The ferocious aura on their bodies is completely incomparable to that of an ordinary immortal god. Everyone looked at the Dragon King and the rest in astonishment. The scene in front of them was too unbelievable. Each and every one of them was a special immortal god who was awe-inspiring to the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine, and Immortal Sect. Master Pledge Ceremony? Not bad. However, there's no need for you to look for the Dragon Sect. I have personally brought people here. Wang Xian looked down at everyone from the 2 immortal gates of medicine and holy medicine and said faintly, "Boom." When he finished speaking, an invincible pressure was emitted. Roar. Ao Chitian, who was at the side, followed Hui directly. No, he should be called a flood dragon at this moment. Although it was only a young flood dragon, it was still terrifying enough. Ao Chitian roared loudly and his body turned into about 8 meters. He held the sea-pacifying divine needle in his hand and the pressure also covered him. Crackle. Crackle. The sound of thunder and lightning resounded through the void. A bolt of lightning landed directly on Ao Chi's body. Like a god of thunder, he flew to the side from the body of the flood dragon. Anyone who provokes the Dragon Palace, kill. Prime Minister Gui jumped lightly and stared coldly at all the people in front of him, releasing their mighty pressure. The mighty pressure of all the immortal gods of the members of the Dragon Palace covered the sky and covered the earth. Retreat. The aura of nearly 20 immortal gods caused the expressions of some experts in the surrounding 10 kilometers to change drastically, and they retreated again. The Holy Doctor Holy Medicine Immortal Sect asked the Dragon King to send over an immortal god for them to kill and then pay a sum of resources as the price for not destroying the Dragon Sect. But now, before they set off, the Dragon King has led a group of immortal gods here. This power is too powerful. Too powerful, simply too powerful. This was the most terrifying power they had ever seen. How is this possible? All the disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect were completely dumbfounded, cold sweat slowly appearing on their foreheads. The fighting spirit and killing intent from just now had completely disappeared, and they looked forward in horror. 17 immortal gods, a total of 17, 5 more than them. What frightened them the most was that there were only a few of these 17 celestials and humans. The rest were all terrifying monsters. Their auras were extremely violent. Dragon King of the Dragon Gate. Bian Jiangtu's expression was extremely ugly. He took a deep breath and stared at Wang Xian with a serious expression as he growled in a low voice. "I am the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace." Wang Xian stared at Bian Jiangtu indifferently and opened his mouth slightly. 3 dragon balls appeared in his mouth. Each of the dragon balls contained a terrifying energy. The dragon balls floated above his head. He raised his head slightly and shouted, "Let's fight. Today, I want to see who will be the one to destroy who. Supreme, their strength is so strong, so strong." A celestial god revealed a look of fear in his eyes. He looked at the Dragon King and the rest who were filled with killing intent. His eyes sparkled. He was afraid. If they really fought, their side would obviously be at a disadvantage. Bian Jiangtu's expression kept changing. The Dragon King's strength was comparable to his, and every other creature was much stronger than a lower immortal. They really weren't a match for him. However, his expression quickly changed, and he took a deep breath. I didn't expect your dragon palace to be so powerful. The past grudges are over, and we won't interfere in each other's business in the future. Bian Jiangtu's voice reverberated in the surroundings, causing the faces of all the disciples of the two immortal sects to freeze. However, they lowered their heads slowly. This was the best choice. Hehe, it's a little too late to reconcile now. Wang Xian revealed a hint of mockery on his face. What do you want, Dragon King? Don't go too far. Even if you guys are stronger than us, there will still be immortals among you if you really fight. Bian Jiangtu shouted at Wang Xian with a cold expression. You want to reconcile? You want to negotiate terms? Upon hearing the voice, everyone who was staring at them from afar held their breaths and stared at them with burning eyes. Haha, what do I want? I want to destroy all of you. Chapter 809, Terrifying Battle. Haha, what do I want? I want to destroy you all. A domineering voice sounded in the entire sky, and a terrifying killing intent instantly filled the entire sky. Everyone was shocked, and even the faces of all the immortal gods from the flat territory, holy medicine, and medicine sects changed drastically. In the distance, all the immortal sect experts and even the immortal gods who had been paying attention to this place heard this voice, and their pupils constricted slightly. In the war between the immortal gods, 12 immortal gods fought 18. Although the Dragon Palace could be said to be on the side of absolute suppression, after the battle broke out between the two sides, even if the Dragon King could win, he would definitely lose a lot. It was even normal to lose 4 or 5 immortal gods in this battle. All the experts who had been paying attention to this place guessed that the Dragon King would make the Holy Doctor and Holy Medicine Immortal sect pay a huge price and then reconcile. But no one had expected that the Dragon King would say such a thing. Even the people of the Holy Doctor Holy Medicine Immortal sect hadn't expected it. Destroy us. You have to think about the consequences. Do you think you can destroy us so easily? Bian Jiangtu shouted with an extremely embarrassed expression. His fat face turned red as if he was a volcano that was about to erupt. It was too sullen. They were originally valiant and ready to head to the Dragon Gate to destroy it and shake the world. In the end, when the oath ceremony was held at the city gate, all the disciples of the immortal sect were ignited to the extreme. The 18 immortals of the other party directly pressed down on them. They were suffocated by the pressure. Now, they were going to kill them. How could they not be angry? Bian Jiangtu glared at him angrily. Haha, kill. Wang Xian laughed out loud. He didn't want to continue arguing with them. He came here today to destroy the life and death Holy Medicine Immortal sect. As for reconciliation, there was no need. If he didn't have such powerful strength and influence, he would have been destroyed by the Holy Medicine Immortal sect today. Therefore, since they were enemies, he would fight. Roar. Roar. The moment Wang Xian gave the order, all the immortals in the Dragon Palace started to move. Wang Xian was the first to bear the brunt. His body moved and he let out a majestic roar, roar. In an instant, Wang Xian transformed into a divine dragon. His 15-meter divine dragon body attacked the flat territory. Beside him, 3 dragon balls were spinning above his head, emitting a terrifying power. The 9 flood dragons swayed their bodies and turned into green shadows, attacking forward. The sound of thunder reverberated through the heaven and earth, and a lightning hammer was raised. Golden and sharp metal, graceful flowing water, terrifying demonic chi, and a huge sea-pacifying divine needle. The attack that erupted in an instant made everyone from the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine, and Immortal sect look terrified. The Dragon King really dared to attack. He really wanted to exterminate them and fight to the death. Kill. Bian Jiangtu's expression changed drastically when he saw Wang Xian turning into the legendary divine dragon. He roared loudly and went up to meet Wang Xian. Kill. The rest of the immortal sects gritted their teeth and went up to meet him. Behind them was their lair. There was nowhere to hide and nowhere to hide. They could only kill. Boom. 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 In an instant, the wind attribute, the terrifying demonic chi, the explosive fire and metal attribute, the greenwood attribute, the blue water attribute, the wind and cloud attribute, and the heaven and earth attribute changed. Hiss, they are really fighting. The Dragon King has turned into a divine dragon. Oh my god, this is unbelievable. Dragon Palace Dragon King, so the Dragon King can turn into a divine dragon. What a terrifying pressure. It's the legendary divine beast of China. The battle between the immortal sect. The real battle between the immortal sect. 30 immortals fighting against each other. Hiss. The spectators who were watching from 10 kilometers away retreated once again. The battle between the immortals had affected a huge area. It was too terrifying. Boom. The first collision sounded. It was the prelude to the battle between the two terrifying forces. At the moment of the collision, screams of pain could be heard. The more than 1,000 disciples behind the two immortal sects, except for those who were half-step immortal gods, and even those at the infant realm, were affected by the battle in an instant. They let out a series of terrified screams. Even if you can destroy us, I will still make you suffer a great loss. Bian Jiangtu's body was emitting a monstrous flame. The entire sky above his head had turned fiery red because of him. He held a bright red staff in his hand. With a wave of his arm, flaming meteorites were hurled at Wang Xian from the sky. The flaming meteorites covered an area of 5 kilometers in front of him. Wang Xian raised his head slightly. The water dragon pearl above his head shook slightly and formed a water curtain. The water curtain covered the sky and blocked the flaming meteorites in the sky. Wang Xian swayed his body and flew directly towards Bian Jiangtu. A pair of dragon claws grabbed towards his body. The terrifying dragon claws seemed to be able to tear the world apart. Bian Jiangtu looked at Wang Xian's approximately 15-meter tall body and his expression was extremely solemn. He tapped the staff in his hand and a pillar of fire as thick as an arm shot towards him like an aurora. Wang Xian opened his mouth and let out a roar. The fire pillar with a diameter of 3 meters went straight towards him. Fire and water attack at the same time. Bian Jiangtu's expression changed slightly and a look of shock appeared in his eyes. He waved his arm, and a fire shield appeared in front of him. Boom! The fire shield only lasted for half a second, but by using this time, he had already moved to a position 1,000 meters away. The terrifying dragon flames descended. And that was the direction of the sacred city. It was covered by a green light, which was the power of the array formation. But even with the array formation, all the disciples and family members of the two immortal sects looked terrified when they saw the battle between the immortals and gods outside. After all, the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace was too powerful, and the number of immortals and gods was completely suppressed. Not good. At this moment, everyone in the sacred city looked terrified when they saw the terrifying dragon flame attack. Crack, crack, crack. The dragon flame landed on the array formation of the sacred city, and the sound of it breaking could be heard. The green light shone brightly, and then began to flicker. Bang! Finally, the defense of the formation was broken. Everyone in the sacred city was instantly exposed to the battle between the immortals. Bang! 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 In an instant, thousands of people from the sacred city knelt on the ground. Just the terrifying pressure alone made it difficult for them to breathe. Go to the sky! Bian Jiangtu looked extremely embarrassed when he saw that the formation was broken with a single strike. If they continued to fight here, everyone in the sacred city would be affected and die. Let them go to the sky. Wang Xian did not want to affect tens of millions of humans. The group of immortals instantly arrived at a height of 10,000 meters. At this moment, a scream was suddenly heard. A holy doctor, holy medicine, and immortal god suddenly appeared behind him when he was distracted while flying into the sky. A terrifying claw penetrated his body directly. The first immortal god died. The battle between the immortals continued. Chapter 8:10, in the terrifying battle of... Oh no! What? Everyone was shocked. They quickly turned their heads and looked in the direction of the scream in shock. Qianjiang. A somewhat terrified roar was heard. The voices of the holy doctors, holy medicine, and the two immortal sects could be heard. It's too fast. It's simply too fast. The battle has just begun, and then an immortal god was killed. This is simply too terrifying. The Dragon King's cultivation technique should be similar to those bloodline warriors in the OU continent. As long as one has the bloodline of a creature, they can transform into such a creature. However, the Dragon King has actually obtained the bloodline of the divine dragon. This is too unbelievable. No wonder the Dragon King can rise so quickly. It's that white shadow that has been hiding in the void, ready to launch a fatal attack at any time. The surrounding disciples who had been paying attention to this side looked at the immortal god who had died in shock. An immortal god had actually been killed so quickly. The terrifying white figure and the terrifying upper-level immortal Dragon King. No one had expected that the Dragon King would be able to unleash such terrifying strength. Dragon King, if you want to destroy us, I will make you pay a heavy price. Kill. Bian Jiangtu's eyes were bloodshot as he commanded the surrounding immortals. Yes, kill. The rest of the immortals were also stirred up by the blood. They attacked the enemies in front of them with grief and indignation. Kill. Wang Xian's expression did not change. He swayed his body and attacked Bian Jiangtu directly. As an upper-level immortal, Wang Xian could only suppress him at most. It was very difficult to kill him. However, he only needed to control them. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, the battle at the side erupted completely. The 9 terrifying figures of the flood dragons transformed into green shadows that shuttled tens of thousands of meters high in the sky. Their entire bodies carried terrifying storm blades. Tree World. A middle-aged man waved his arm, and towering trees appeared in the void. Each tree grew to 1,000 meters in size, with terrifying tentacles. The other elders also sprinkled green seeds, turning into towering trees in an instant. Blade Storm. Just as the tree world, which covered an area of 4 to 5 kilometers, was formed, the 9 flood dragons' bodies trembled. Green energy floated up from the scales, and each energy was the same size as the scales. The 9 flood dragons moved, and hundreds of thousands of wind attribute scales charged towards the book world. Crash. The terrifying storm of blades tore apart all the trees like a level 10 gale. Careful. At this moment, a bolt of lightning descended from the sky and attacked an immortal god. Wooden ring. The old man's expression changed slightly. He waved the staff in his hand, and a wooden hoop met the bolt of lightning. Crack. In an instant, the wooden hoop turned pitch black under the attack of the lightning. Whoosh. A lightning spear seemed as though it was about to tear apart the void. It carried a terrifying might as it pierced towards the old man. Following that, Aochi held the lightning hammer in his hand as he approached the old man. The old man's expression changed slightly. He originally had the strength of a middle-level immortal. Even if he was facing Aochi of the lightning attribute, who was restraining him, he could still resist and even gain the upper hand. However, he had to be careful of the white figure in the air, so that it did not dare to release 100% of its power. The other immortal gods of the Holy Medicine and Holy Medicine were the same. After the white figure assassinated an immortal god, it once again escaped into the air. Perhaps the next time it attacked, there would be more deaths. I'll roast you. At the side, an old man with a face full of rage raised his beard. He furiously waved the staff in his hand and attacked Ao Shrimp. Ao Shrimp's golden body was like a heavenly soldier. His huge pincers could easily break metal and rock. A set of fire rings descended from the sky and fell toward Ao Shrimp. Ao Shrimp's gaze did not change. His body continued to approach the old man. Die. Seeing that Aosha did not dodge, the old man's eyes flashed with a sharp light. The rings of fire exploded, becoming even more ferocious. Wang. At this moment, a jade-blue stream of water appeared out of thin air on Aosha's body. The stream of water formed an armor, instantly lifting up a space. Not good, help me. The old man's expression instantly changed, and he cried out for help. However, at this moment, there was no one else who could help him. The 2 immortal sects already had 6 fewer immortal gods than the Dragon Gate. Only a middle-level immortal could deal with 2 of them. A lower-level immortal could not even protect himself. Ka. The huge pincers attacked, and the 2-meter-long metal pincers became bigger again. They actually became 5 meters in size. The pincers clamped down heavily, causing the old man's face to turn pale. His staff shone with light. Boom! His entire body was instantly surrounded by flames that were like lava. Crack! Crack! However, under the terrifying pincers, the lava directly collapsed. Fire escape! He waved his arm, and a fire tunnel instantly appeared in front of him. His body quickly retreated. What? However, at this moment, a water tentacle had somehow trapped his legs and completely pulled his body. With a wave of his arm, a fiery red liquid that was like a drop of water directly slashed at the water tentacle. Wang! At this moment, 2 pincers attacked him. Ah! The old man's face was filled with shock. With a shake of his legs were directly shattered to the knees. His crippled legs erupted like a god of fire. Boom! 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 10,000 meters in the air, it was as if a volcano had appeared out of thin air. Terrifying lava erupted from it. The lava waterfall fell towards the ground. The terrifying fire energy landed on the ground and formed a huge sea of flames. The energy contained within the body of an immortal god expert was extremely terrifying. Can you escape? At this moment, an icy voice sounded from behind. A claw pierced through the chest of the elder who had just tried to escape. Cough, cough. The elder spat out blood. His eyes were dim as his body fell to the ground. He already had a premonition that this battle was a one-way ticket to death. That was why he gave up his legs and went all out. He wanted to kill one, but unfortunately, one immortal god was enough to suppress him. He was no match for the other 2. The second immortal god is dead. The experts and immortal gods watching from afar said in their hearts. Suppression, 100% suppression. They discovered that the 2 immortal gods of the Dragon Palace could fight against a middle-level immortal. 2 immortal gods could kill a lower-level immortal without being injured. The difference in strength between the immortal gods of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and the immortal gods of the Dragon Palace was simply too great. I reckon that apart from the Supreme Elder of the upper-level Immortal Sect who managed to escape, everyone else is finish. Chapter 8:11. Under the terrifying battle of Raw. On the other side, Ao Chitian, who held the sea-pacifying divine needle in his hand and was 7 to 8 meters in size, looked like a devil monkey. It was too violent. There were a total of 3 middle-level immortals in the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect. However, at this moment, the violent Ao Chitian was fighting one of them with his own strength. The terrifying flames attacked him. The violent demonic chi, together with the 50-meter-long sea-pacifying divine needle, swept through everything. Whether it was the sea of fire, the flaming lava, or the pillar of fire, they were all forcibly blocked by his violent attacks. The ocean-pacifying divine needle was an existence that far surpassed ordinary immortal god artifacts. It could become 50 meters long, and when it was waved, it could simply destroy the world. In the area where Ao Chitian was fighting with the middle-level immortal of the Holy Doctor and Holy Medicine, no one dared to enter the area. On the other side, Prime Minister Gui was standing on top of a flood dragon, and a 100-meter-wide earth wall appeared out of thin air. Terrifying wind blades, storms, and the flood dragon's powerful physical body, the immortal gods in front of them were defending passively, their faces filled with fear. There was no room for resistance at all. Move the mountain. At this moment, Prime Minister Gui's body shook, and the turtle shell on his back flew higher into the sky. Boom! Instantly, a 1,000-meter-tall mountain appeared in the sky, and the mountain smashed heavily towards the lower immortal. Wind domain, binding of wind. Below, the flood dragon's body flashed with a green light, instantly forming a wind domain of 10 kilometers in radius. Within this space, all the wind was within their control. Terrifying green energy shot towards the lower immortal. No, save me. The lower immortal couldn't move. He looked up at the terrifying mountain in the sky, his face filled with despair. Boom! The mountain descended, bringing with it a terrifying power as it smashed towards the ground below. Boom! Another earth-shattering sound rang out as the ground split open. Terrifying cracks spread out in all directions, all the way to the sacred city. The terrifying cracks were 1 meter wide and 100 meters deep. At this moment, all the disciples of the two great immortal sects in the sacred city stood on the streets, their faces filled with shock and fear. They looked at the terrifying sea of fire, the terrifying mountains, and the cracks not far away, their eyes filled with fear. It was the third one. Their immortal god had already died, and not a single one of them had died. Not even a single one was injured. I'll fight it out with you. A subordinate immortal collapsed under the combined attacks of the two flood dragons. Terrifying speed, powerful physical body, and sharp wind blades. In addition to their incomparably powerful bodies, the two flood dragons were completely toying with the subordinate immortal. He had no ability to resist at all. Seeing his companions die one by one, despair appeared on his face. His arms turned into terrifying tree branches that directly twined around the flood dragons. Roar. With a flood dragon roar, the densely packed wind blades slashed towards the tree branches. When the wind blades landed on the tree branches, numerous wounds appeared instantly, and fresh blood flowed out from the tree branches. Die. The middle-aged immortal god's body began to wither, and his black hair slowly turned white. The terrifying tree branches that his arms transformed into were even more terrifying. Rise of the clouds. When the two flood dragons saw that the middle-aged immortal god was actually using up his life force to attack, their expressions did not change, and a gust of wind blew over. At the same time, a large patch of cloud and fog. The cloud and fog instantly filled an area of 10 kilometers. The two flood dragons moved and directly entered the cloud and fog. The divine dragon was nowhere to be seen. The middle-aged immortal god's expression changed drastically, and the tree branches formed by his arms scattered in the cloud and fog. As time passed, his attacks became weaker and weaker, and the life force in his body became less and less. Attacks that cost his life were destined to not last long. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just as the middle-aged immortal god fell into a state of weakness, sharp wind needles pierced through the middle-aged immortal god like terrifying hidden weapons. An anguished cry sounded out as the middle-aged immortal god's body fell to the ground at a terrifying speed. The fourth immortal god had fallen. At this point, the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine, and Immortal Sect only had 8 people left. They would fall even faster. Boom. Boom. The battle that shook the heavens and earth spread out in all directions from 10,000 meters in the sky. All of China and the entire Jianghu could hear it clearly. Even the terrifying energy that came from this place spread far, far away. Among the 30 immortal gods, there were 2 high-level immortals. This momentum shook the world. The entire sky was like the end of the world. Any random attack that landed on the ground could cause a sea of fire and a crack. Whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, one immortal god after another rushed over. The supreme elders of the Shen Yuan clan and the Yuan clan also arrived. The immortal gods of the 2 immortal sects watched the battle in the sky from a distance, their faces filled with shock. Their eyes swept across the entire battlefield and instantly understood. Is this the power of the Dragon Palace? It's too powerful. 4 immortal gods have died from the Holy Medicine and Holy Medicine. 18 immortal gods versus 8. It's a complete suppression. The 2 immortal sects are going to be finished. The Dragon King's strength is really unrivaled. The Dragon Palace should be the most powerful existence in the Jianghu. The immortal gods watched the battle in front of them, and their pupils couldn't help but shrink. Shock appeared on their faces. The immortal gods of the Dragon Palace were really invincible. The supreme elder of the Yuan clan's face changed drastically when he saw how miserable the 2 immortal sects were. Their relationship with the 2 immortal sects could be considered quite friendly. Not long ago, they had even discussed a series of cooperation. Now, when he saw that the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect was about to be destroyed, his expression was somewhat unsightly. Brother Shenyuan, should we stop them? The Yuan clan's supreme elder revealed a hesitant expression as he spoke to the Shenyuan clan's supreme elder at the side. All the immortal sects of the Shen Yuan clan fell silent after hearing this. They did not reply as they did not want to interfere. If they were to interfere now, it was obvious that they had offended the Dragon Palace. With the Dragon King's character, the two of them were destined to have a rift or even hatred. Dragon King, I think we should just forget about this battle. We should be lenient when possible. You have already killed 5 of their immortals. Let them pay a little more and let's call it a day. The supreme elder of the Yuan clan saw that the Shenyuan clan did not respond. He took a deep breath and said to Wang Xian, "What? Are the Yuan clan going to interfere? What are they going to do?" The voice of the Yuan clan's supreme elder shocked all the immortals and powerhouses around. They quickly looked over. "Brother Yuan, help us get through this crisis." When Bianjiang too heard the voice of the Yuan clan's supreme elder, he disregarded his status and asked for help loudly. 4 immortals were killed in just 10 minutes. He was really afraid. "You dare to interfere?" Wang Xian turned his head and stared at them with a cold gaze. Ah! At this moment, a scream was heard. A terrifying flame suddenly shot up into the sky. Unparalleled pressure, suppress heaven and earth. Chapter 8:12, Suppressed everything. You dare to interfere? The sudden intervention of the supreme elder of the Yuan clan caused all the surrounding immortals and the powerhouses of the immortal sect to reveal shocked expressions. However, a cold and dignified voice came out of Wang Xian's mouth as he stared coldly in the direction of the Yuan clan. At the same time, the sudden burst of terrifying power caused the expressions of all the immortals to change drastically. The number of immortal gods gathered here had already reached 40 to 50. They were all watching the battle in the air. The sudden burst of power caused everyone's bodies to tremble. Their eyes were filled with shock as they hurriedly looked towards the direction of the terrifying battlefield. It was a woman whose entire body was emitting terrifying flames. This flame was different from the other flames. It was even very different from the supreme elder of the Holy Medicine immortal sect. The flame had the form of a bird and was somewhat similar to the legendary vermilion bird. Around her body, a 10-meter-long vermilion bird rotated and emitted a terrifying might. The vermilion bird seemed to be alive and was full of spirituality. Just now, the middle-level immortal of the Holy Medicine immortal sect who had been fighting with it was instantly killed by this terrifying vermilion bird. Chirp chirp. A phoenix cry sounded. Feng Luan took control of her body and looked in the direction of the Yuan clan. For a moment, the supreme elder of the Yuan clan was completely stunned. He opened his mouth slightly and revealed an incredulous expression. Another high-level immortal. The Dragon King's wife is also a high-level immortal. Shocked voices came from the immortal god behind him. The face of the Yuan clan's first elder slowly turned ugly. Looking at the 2 pairs of cold eyes staring at him, his face changed drastically. What? However, at this moment, all the immortal gods in the Holy Medicine immortal sect were completely in despair. There was still one more. The Dragon Gate actually had a superior immortal. This completely extinguished all their vitality. The Dragon Palace had 2 superior immortals and 18 immortal gods. They were invincible in this world. Just forget it. The supreme elder of the Yuan clan said with an embarrassed look on his face. FUCK, the Dragon Palace, which had 2 high-level immortals and 2 high-level immortals, might not be able to defeat them even if he led all the immortals of the Yuan clan to fight. If the Dragon King came to destroy the Yuan clan in the future because of his interference in this matter, they would be courting death. When the surrounding immortals heard the Yuan clan's supreme elder's words, they were a little stunned and speechless. Now, the Yuan clan no longer had the right to interfere with the strength that the Dragon Palace had displayed. If they interfered, they would be courting death. With the Dragon Palace's current strength, unless the Shenyuan clan and the Yuan clan interfered, it would be possible to stop this war. Today, whoever dares to interfere will be the enemy of the Dragon Palace. The Holy Doctor and Medicine immortal sect will be annihilated by the Dragon Palace today. When Wang Xian saw the Yuan clan's supreme elder retract his words, he snorted coldly and shouted loudly. When Bian Jiangtu saw this scene, his body couldn't help but tremble. Help me kill him. At this moment, Wang Xian turned to look at Feng Luan and said to her. All right. Feng Luan's eyes sparkled as she stared at Wang Xian's body. This was the first time she saw Wang Xian in battle. It was the first time she saw him transform into a divine dragon. On the Transcendence continent, there was a dragon race that was the most powerful existence in the entire continent. Even when she was at her peak, she didn't dare to provoke such a terrifying race. Moreover, she also knew that the divine dragon race was a race that was comparable to their vermilion bird race. Chirp chirp. A phoenix cry sounded. Feng Luan's figure moved and directly jumped into the center of the vermilion bird. With a flap of her wings, she directly became 20 meters in size. Hiss. Too strong. Today, the Holy Medicine Immortal sect is completely finished. The surrounding immortal gods and other experts looked shocked when they saw the two terrifying creatures, dragon and phoenix, attacking the flat territory. Even if I die today, I will drag one of you down with me. Despair. Bianjiang too was in complete despair when he saw this scene. The flames on his body dyed the entire sky red. The scene of the flames burning the sky could be seen within a radius of 100 kilometers. Fight to the death. Wang Xian and Feng Luan saw the aura emitted by Bianjiang too. There was no expression on their faces. They moved and attacked instantly. Dragon roar. Phoenix cry. Roar. Roar. Chirp. Chirp. Two terrifying flames were spat out from Wang Xian and Feng Luan's mouths. Flames versus flames. Bianjiang Tu waved his arms and the terrifying fire pillars on his arms met the flames directly. He blocked the flames with a cold gaze. Roar. Roar. At this moment, Wang Xian moved his body and flew toward Bianjiang Tu. He swung his sharp metal dragon claws forward. Volcanic descent. Bianjiang too waved his arms with an embarrassed expression. In an instant, a terrifying flaming mountain formed in the sky. The flaming mountain smashed towards Wang Xian rapidly. Phoenix feather. Feng Luan shouted softly. With a flap of her wings, feathers flew towards the volcano. The feathers rotated slowly. It was beautiful and looked like a flaming flower. The phoenix feathers landed at the bottom of the flaming mountain and entered it directly. Boom. In an instant, the flaming mountain erupted into the surroundings. Bianjiangtu's expression changed drastically as he looked at Wang Xian who was attacking him. His arm turned into a huge flaming arm in an instant. The flaming red arm crossed in front of him to block his attack. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. Wang Xian's eyes revealed a hint of disdain. His sharp metal dragon claws easily penetrated the flaming red palm and clawed at his body. Ah! His eyes were wide open. With a loud roar, the flames on his body were retracted into his body. His entire body was like a lava stone that had existed for tens of thousands of years. Is it useful? Wang Xian's eyes were like torches. A dazzling golden glow was emitted from the dragon claws. The terrifying golden glow penetrated the dragon claws and clawed towards his body. Bianjiangtu retreated backward with an embarrassed expression. Crack, crack. The dragon claw touched his arm and produced a cracking sound. Hiss. Instantly, Bianjiangtu's forehead was filled with cold sweat. His entire arm fell downwards like a rock. Boom. His arm landed on the ground. The area within a few thousand meters of the ground was charred black. Ah! At this moment, screams of pain could be heard from the surroundings. There was more than one scream. An old man was pierced through the chest by a lightning spear. A middle-aged man was entangled by a flood dragon. A red-haired old man was hit by Ao Chitian's ocean-pacifying divine needle and fell heavily to the ground. An old woman was torn into two pieces by Ao Shrimp's pincers. All the surrounding immortals and gods looked at this scene with complicated and even fearful expressions. I'm not reconciled. Bianjiangtu turned his head when he heard the screams. His eyes were instantly filled with blood and his face was filled with despair. The experts of the Dragon Palace had killed the immortals and gods of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. Not a single one of them had died. They were not even seriously injured. He regretted it so much. Chapter 8:13 came to an end. Bang, bang, bang. On the battlefield 10,000 meters high in the sky, the terrifying invincible divine dragon used its dragon claws, dragon tail, and dragon flames to attack the burly old man. Behind the divine dragon, the vermilion bird that was emitting terrifying flames blocked every attack that the burly old man released. The flames that were filled with spirituality easily neutralized every attack of the old man. The old man's arms had completely disappeared, and terrifying cracks appeared on his body. In order to prevent the powerful attacks of the divine dragon, he could only turn his body as hard as volcanic rocks to block the terrifying dragon claws. Transforming into a body of lava was the most powerful defensive technique of their immortal sect, and also a life-saving battle technique. However, it was easily defeated. The tall and sturdy old man's heart was filled with despair. In the surroundings, a world-destroying battle erupted. The entire battlefield affected an area of 20 to 30 kilometers in the sky that was 10,000 meters high. However, at this moment, the area of the battlefield was rapidly shrinking. Immortal gods fell from the sky one after another. Every immortal god that fell to the ground erupted with a terrifying energy storm. The ground below had been covered by a sea of fire, forming a fire domain. It's over. The Holy Medicine Immortal Sect is completely finished. The immortal gods of the two immortal sects are going to be completely destroyed. In addition to the experts being killed, the strongest experts of the two immortal sects aren't even at the infant realm. The Holy Medicine Immortal Sect is completely finished. The Dragon Palace will become the strongest immortal sect in the Jianghu. The surrounding immortal gods and experts were numb with shock as they spoke slowly. In the sacred city below, many disciples of the two immortal sects couldn't see the battle in the sky clearly. But after hearing the screams of the immortal gods and the corpses that fell from time to time, they already knew the result. The immortal gods that they were so proud of were being killed and slaughtered. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. All of you, die. At this moment, the red light in the air intensified. A wave of heat directly rushed downwards. The terrifying temperature even caused some trees to wither rapidly. Be careful. He's going to use up all of his blood essence and transform it into the most powerful attack. Feng Luan, who was standing at 1,000 meters away, saw a terrifying red gas coming out from the top of Bianjiang Tu's head. A vigilant look appeared on her face as she warned Wang Xian loudly. I will transform into a volcano and erupt with the strongest fury. Bianjiang Tu shouted loudly. His voice was filled with determination. Supreme, no. No. The few remaining celestials around were horrified as they shouted loudly. Boom. 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 However, just as their voices rang out, waves of terrifying flames spewed out from the top of Bianjiang Tu's head. It was as though the flames of life had covered an area of 30 to 40 kilometers. At a height of 10,000 meters, it was as though a space had split open and a flaming domain had appeared. Buzz. 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 Wang Xian's body shook as he transformed into a flaming divine dragon and activated the dragon pearl. Come over here. Wang Xian hovered in the air. The members of the Dragon Palace immediately came to the space where he was hovering. Chirp chirp. Feng Luan also let out a cry. She flapped her huge wings and controlled the terrifying flame and lava that erupted from the flat land. He was like a huge volcano that had been dormant for thousands of years. Once it erupted, it would unleash an earth-shattering attack. Dodge, dodge. Around him, the immortals and powerhouses who were relatively close to him quickly fled into the distance. The terrifying attack of a superior immortal would be affected even if it was in the surroundings. This was a suicidal attack and an ultimate attack to attack the immortals and gods of the Dragon Palace. Unfortunately, the flames that the Dragon King and the Vermilion Bird released were not inferior to the flat territory. The two of them worked together and completely blocked the terrifying flames. Reborn from the flames. At this moment, Feng Luan's body suddenly moved and flew toward the location of the flame lava. She flapped her wings and began to quickly absorb the flame lava. The flames contained the Bianjiang Tu's essence blood, which was a huge tonic for Feng Luan. There are 3 more, kill them all. Prime Minister Gui's voice sounded, and then the immortals of the Dragon Palace moved. The 3 immortal gods were easily killed by them. When the last 3 screams rang out, the entire world finally quieted down. At this point, The 12 immortal gods from the Saint Medicine sect had all died. None of the members of the Dragon Palace were severely injured. It was a huge crushing victory. Roar! Wang Xian roared, "This is the fate of the Saint Medicine sect." He moved and flew towards the holy city. The members of the Dragon Palace immediately followed behind him. Wang Xian reverted to his human form and hovered above the holy city. He looked down at the disciples of the two sects. When they saw the Dragon King and the group of immortals standing in the air above them, everyone in the holy city was terrified. What is the Dragon King trying to do? Don't tell me he is really going to destroy everyone from the two immortal sects. The surrounding immortals were slightly shocked and looked over in astonishment. Dragon King, you guys killed our two immortal sects. What else do you want to do now? An old man raised his head in anger and stared at Wang Xian and the rest in the sky. They deserve to die. Kneel down, kneel down. Wang Xian roared with a face full of coldness. His aura instantly spread to the area below. In the holy city, the expressions of the two disciples and their families changed drastically. It's impossible to make us kneel down. A young man raised his head and roared at the sky with a face full of anger. Bang! However, just as he finished his sentence, he spat out a huge mouthful of blood and died on the spot. Kneel down. Don't make me repeat myself for the third time. Wang Xian's expression didn't change as he stared at everyone below and shouted with a dignified expression. They were disciples of the two great immortal sects. Now that they were defeated, it was already merciful of them not to kill them directly. However, they had to pay a little price for their past mistakes. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, the expressions of everyone in the holy city changed drastically. Some of them were kneeling on the ground, followed by many others. Even if I die, I will not kneel to the enemy. A young man's face was filled with grief and indignation. Then, in an instant, he was killed by the terrifying pressure. Everyone's expressions changed drastically. They hurriedly knelt on the ground. They lowered their heads, and their faces were extremely embarrassed. A thick wave of powerlessness surged into their hearts. They originally thought that today, the Holy Medicine Immortal sect would exterminate the Dragon Gate and shock the entire Jianghu. But they did not expect that all the immortal sects and gods would be killed and they would have to kneel in front of their enemies. A deep sense of powerlessness surged into their hearts. From now on, the world would have no Holy Medicine Immortal sect. Chapter 8:14, The Aftermath of. From today onwards, there will be no Holy Medicine Celestial sect and no Holy Medicine Celestial sect in Jianghu. In the holy city, tens of millions of people were kneeling on the streets. Wang Xian, who was hovering in the air, announced with a cold face. All the disciples and family members of the two great celestial sects trembled. At this moment, no one dared to speak. If they dared to resist, they would be killed immediately. The Dragon King would not show any mercy. In fact, both parties were hostile forces to begin with. It was reasonable to kill them. Therefore, they did not want to die. They could only kneel in the sacred city and did not dare to move. Search for all the treasures in the two immortal sects. Take everything that is of value and make up for the loss of the Dragon Gate forging workshop. Wang Xian ordered Prime Minister Gui and the other members of the Dragon Palace. It's the Dragon King. The group of immortals moved and flew towards the mountain gates of the two immortal sects. As the two immortal sects with deep foundations, their resources would definitely exceed Wang Xian's imagination. The number of herbs they planted might not be as much as that of the natural-born immortal sects, but it would definitely not be much less. Their resources were sufficient to make up for the losses they had suffered previously. Wang Xian floated in the sky and waited for the members of the Dragon Palace to search. 10 minutes later, Prime Minister Gui and the rest flew out from the Gate of Immortality. Prime Minister Gui even controlled a herbal field within a radius of 10 kilometers. In the sacred city, everyone knelt on the ground without daring to get up. They didn't even dare to breathe heavily as they waited quietly. Let's go. Wang Xian moved his body and flew towards the Dragon Palace. The group of celestial beings from the Dragon Palace immediately followed behind and flew towards the Dragon Palace. Only after Wang Xian and the rest left did some people in the entire sacred city dare to stand up slowly. They looked at the figures that had disappeared and heaved a heavy sigh of relief. At the same time, there was a look of worry on their faces. In the future, the world will be at the selfless Holy Doctor and Holy Medicine Immortal sect. Where should we go from here? An old man looked up to the sky and said with a face full of worry. Some other people also stood up silently and walked into the room. They were the losers of the battle. They had provoked an existence that they shouldn't have provoked. A powerful immortal sect instantly declined. They had brought this upon themselves. The distant immortal god also watched this scene quietly. His gaze looked towards the sacred city as his gaze flickered. Let's accept the disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. The Xian Yuan clan and the Yuan clan looked at each other and slowly nodded. Although the experts of the two immortal sects had all died, there were still many experts at the Dan stage. Moreover, there were only benefits and no disadvantages in accepting them. At the same time, this was considered a pretty good home for a disciple of an immortal sect who had been exterminated. However, at the same time, the battle on the Jianghu website had shocked everyone. The battle between the 30 immortals and gods resounded throughout the two Jianghu websites. Even in the sky, most people could see this shocking scene. The attacks were as shocking as meteors hitting the earth. The terrifying flames and the screams of the immortals and gods caused people's scalps to go numb. Luckily, they were fighting in the sky. If they were on the ground, their battle could destroy several provinces. Several provinces are a bit exaggerated. The most important thing is that the Dragon Palace is too powerful. They are completely overpowered. If they were evenly matched, the destructive power would be great. However, the Dragon Palace is too powerful. For the past 2 days, the disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect have been clamoring that they would destroy the Dragon sect. However, the Dragon King has led the experts of the Dragon Palace to directly destroy them. They can't be arrogant now. The two disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect knelt in the city for half an hour without daring to move. It is already a blessing that the Dragon King did not kill them. They have humiliated the Dragon King on the Jianghu internet. There is no longer the Holy Medicine Immortal sect in the world. The Dragon Palace will rise to the top of the Immortal sect. No one would have thought that the most powerful sect in the world was not the immortal sect that came from the secular world, but the Dragon Palace, which used to be a force in the Jianghu. The strongest person in the Jianghu is undoubtedly the Dragon King. The Dragon King is able to transform into a divine dragon, which is somewhat similar to the bloodline cultivation in the West. It must be because the Dragon King got a great opportunity and obtained the divine dragon bloodline that his cultivation speed is so fast. On the Jianghu website, the disciples of the immortal sects were discussing on the internet in amazement. The impact of this great battle on the Jianghu was too great. The death of 12 immortal gods, including 1 upper immortal and 3 middle immortals, shocked everyone. After the end of the war, the Dragon Palace had become the most powerful force in the pugilistic world. And the Dragon King was the most powerful force in the pugilistic world. Dragon King, we have obtained a lot of good things this time, especially the spiritual herbs and elixirs. There are a lot of them. There are even grade 9 spiritual herbs. Prime Minister Gui came to the Dragon King's hall in the Dragon Palace and reported to Wang Xian with a smile on his face. Move all of them to the herb garden. In addition, place the corpses of the immortal gods from the 2 immortal sects at the Dragon Pond and absorb them. Try your best to nurture a few more immortal gods. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne with a smile on his face and said to Prime Minister Gui, "It's the Dragon King. He should be able to nurture 5 to 6 immortal gods." Prime Minister Gui said with a smile on his face. "Okay." Wang Xian nodded and swept his gaze across the surrounding members of the Dragon Palace. Currently, there were 16 immortal level members. It wouldn't be long before there would be more of them. Mo Qinglong, the old devil is here. Continue to build the Dragon Gate Forging Workshop. The workshop will continue to open for business within 3 days. Wang Xian ordered Mo Qinglong. It's the Dragon King. Mo Qinglong replied respectfully. The Dragon Gate forging workshop still needed to continue to be built. With this forging workshop, the resources obtained would be able to increase the number of immortals in the Dragon Palace by at least a dozen. This is your Dragon Palace? At this moment, a surprised voice was heard. Wang Xian turned his head and looked at Feng Luan. At this moment, he was looking at his surroundings with a face full of surprise. His eyes were burning as he stared at the ancestral tree. Currently, there were 3 branches on the ancestral tree: the soul-returning wood, the eternal wood, and the tree of servitude. Each of the branches was extremely mystical and exuded a powerful energy. The eternal wood, the legendary divine wood of the vermilion bird tribe. The eternal wood. Phew. Feng Luan took a deep breath and looked around. This dragon palace of yours is similar to the legendary dragon palace on the supernatural continent. Could it be that you have obtained the inheritance of the dragon tribe on the supernatural continent? Wang Xian smiled gently and did not speak. He did not know how strong the dragon tribe on the supernatural continent was. However, he had obtained the Invincible divine dragon system. It was definitely not something that the dragon tribe on the supernatural continent could compare to. So many incredible abilities. Feng Luan was shocked. She raised her head and looked at the huge Kuan in the sky. She frowned slightly. This dragon palace was simply too mysterious. Wang Xian did not disturb her. He called Prime Minister Gui over and began to settle some matters. Chapter 8:15, Half a year. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed in the boiling battle between immortals and gods. During this half a year, the Dragon Palace had completely spread its name throughout the entire Jianghu. Any immortal sect that was famous would be afraid of it. Moreover, when the Dragon Gate forging workshop opened for business again, it was built in the cities under the immortal sects. It was completely not built in the real cities. As for the Longmen forging workshop, it completely monopolized the business of medicinal pills and refining weapons in the entire Jianghu. In just half a year's time, Wang Xian had obtained a terrifying amount of resources. Name: Wang Xian. Race: 5 elements divine dragon, able to transform into a human. Level: Level 9. Dragon energy: 94,000,34,21,10,000,000,000. Supernatural ability: ruling the water tribe that is lower than one's own level. Devouring creatures to extract dragon chi. Control of the 5 elements. Cultivation method: divine dragon transformation. Fire refining technique: using the fire of origin to refine everything. Water refining technique: using the water refining technique to refine things for fun. Battle skills: water clone, elementary, blade storm, intermediate, instant water, elementary. In half a year's time, I've increased 100 million dragon chi. I'm still short of 50 million to completely break through. According to Feng Luan, after my strength breaks through, my realm will be extraordinary. According to the realms on the extraordinary continent, I'm not at the immortal realm at all, but the rebirth realm. Above the rebirth realm, I'll be extraordinary. Above the transcendent realm, I'll be at the profound void realm, and above that, I'll be at the longevity realm. According to Feng Luan's estimation, the creatures on Earth at present can only cultivate to the extraordinary realm at most. Above that, the resources on Earth can't reach it at all. During this half a year, if I don't distribute the resources to the members of the Dragon Palace, I should be able to achieve a breakthrough in my strength. Wang Xian mumbled as he looked at his attributes. His mind was full of thoughts. In this half a year, not only did Wang Xian's strength improve tremendously and he was on the verge of a breakthrough, even Lan Qingyu and Xiao Yu's strength had also improved tremendously. Now, Lan Qingyu and her first Kuan had already broken through to the immortal realm. The moment they broke through, they immediately possessed the strength of a middle-level immortal. This was especially so for Kuan, whose body size had reached about 150 meters. It was truly terrifying. In addition, Xiao Yu, Elder Fan, and Sun Lingxiu had also broken through to the immortal realm. Only Tang Yinxian had only reached the half-step immortal realm. Apart from the few girls, the strength of the entire Dragon Palace had also increased tremendously. with all kinds of medicinal pills and the energy from the corpses of the immortal gods of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. The entire Dragon Palace had increased by 11 immortal gods in half a year. 4 appeared in the Strange Thorn clan, Aoyecha had advanced to the immortal god realm, 2 appeared in the Devil Monkey clan, 2 appeared in the Golden Swordfish clan, and 2 appeared in the Strange Prawn clan. There were 11 immortal gods. Including the previous 16, there were a total of 27 immortal gods in the Dragon Palace. If Wang Xian, Xiao Yu, and the others were included, there were a total of 34 immortal gods. 34 immortal gods. This was definitely a terrifying strength. In addition to the immortal gods, the number of half-step immortal god realm experts in the Dragon Palace had increased by more than 80. The number of infant realm experts had reached more than 700. In the past half a year, the Dragon Palace had not only obtained medicinal pills and metal materials, but also a large number of spirit stones. These spirit stones could increase the speed of cultivation. It was also because of this that the members of the Dragon Palace could break through so quickly. With the current strength of the Dragon Palace, it was highly possible for them to destroy 4 to 5 top 10 immortal sects at the same time. The increase in the strength of the Dragon Palace was equivalent to the increase in the strength of Wang Xian. Therefore, he sacrificed some resources to the subordinates of the Dragon Palace. Dragon King. At this moment, Prime Minister Gui and Ao Yarrow came to the Dragon King's hall and greeted Wang Xian respectfully. Speak. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne and spoke in a dignified manner. For the past half a year, he had basically been in the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace was currently built in the 4 major divisions. The Demon War Division was in charge of combat, Ao Chitian was in charge, and the Demon Monkey Clan was in charge. The Thunder Division was in charge of the Thunder Prawn Clan, which was also the Strange Prawn Clan. They were in charge of combat, and Ao Chi was in charge. The Dragon Guard Division was in charge of the Yakshaw Clan, which was in charge of patrolling and defending, and Ao Yakshaw was in charge. The Dragon Spur Division was in charge of the Strange Demon Clan, which was in charge of assassinating and gathering information. Apart from the 4 major divisions, there was also a Dragon Guard, which could also be called an internal expert. They mainly followed Wang Xian. The Dragon Guard was a Golden Swordfish clan, and Ao Jian was in charge. In addition, there were 2 more special positions, the Maid and the Guard of the Palace of Dragon King. The Maid was in charge of organizing some of Wang Xian's things. Ao Sha was in charge of the duties similar to that of a young eunuch. In addition, they also had some subordinates who were in charge of the flowers and plants in the Dragon Palace, guarding some places. The entire Dragon Palace had already established a preliminary and perfect order, and the civil servants that Prime Minister Turtle had trained had also been completed. It seemed that the turtles in the Dragon Palace, who were carrying turtle shells on their backs, were enlightening the creatures of the Dragon Palace and teaching them some knowledge. Dragon King, our Ao monster clan has thoroughly explored the sea area within 1,000 kilometers. There are 3 immortal level creatures in the black area on the map. One of them is a giant snake that is a superior immortal with 9 heads. At the red area on the map, there are 2 immortal level creatures. In addition, in the Pacific Ocean deeper in the map, there are many giant squid species. Ao Yarrow reported to Wang Xian. Compared to the past, Ao Yarrow had a cold expression. Although he was very intelligent, he did not know how to handle many things. Under the teachings of the civil officials, Ao Yarrow was now able to take charge of his own affairs and possessed his own powerful intelligence. Upon hearing his report, Wang Xian nodded his head slowly. The resources in Jianghu were getting lesser and lesser. Wang Xian set his sights on the ocean. He had roughly investigated the ocean in the past. Now, he was officially sweeping across the ocean to build an invincible underwater dragon palace. Furthermore, Wang Xian had to start devouring and advance to the Transcendence realm as soon as possible. All right, bring along the Demon War Division, Thunder Division, and the 5 supernatural beings. We will sweep the area closest to us. Wang Xian pondered for a moment and ordered them. It's the Dragon King, brother. At this moment, Xiao Yu ran in and shouted at Wang Xian. What's wrong? Wang Xian waved at them and looked at Xiao Yu with a smile. I'm going out tomorrow. Let's go out and play. Xiao Yu walked over. In half a year's time, the little girl was becoming more and more graceful. What? Are you going on a date with that Feng Lingtian? The corners of Wang Xian's mouth curled up as he asked with a smile on his face. What? There are many of us here. Brother, don't make wild guesses. Xiao Yu's face was slightly red as she said hurriedly. All right. Go, go. Let one of the guards of the golden swordfish follow you. Wang Xian said dotingly. There's no need. I've already broken through to the immortal realm. Furthermore, I'm your younger sister. Who would dare to provoke me? Better safe than sorry. Chapter 8:16, Western Celestial Domain. Dragon King, Mo Qinglong requests an audience. After Xiao Yu left, Aosha walked into the Dragon King's hall and greeted him respectfully. Enter. Wang Xian waved his hand and Mo Qinglong immediately walked in. Dragon King, I have something to report. Speak. Regarding the Western Celestial Domain 2 months ago, according to the information we received, the Western Celestial Domain Celestials frequently appeared in search of resources. Now, they are cooperating with the Huaxia Celestial sect. The other party has a huge demand for medicinal pills. Currently, we are in contact with them. Hopefully, we can reach an agreement. Mo Qinglong reported to Wang Xian. The Eastern Immortal Sect and the Western Domain of the Gods were the 2 largest cultivation systems on Earth. At the same time, they were also the 2 most powerful forces on Earth. In the past, the East and the West occupied half of Earth. The 2 forces were evenly matched. The powerful forces in the world were known as the divine sects, which also continued the name of the Western continent. However, there was still a big gap between the divine sects in the world and the real divine domains. The reason why the divine sects were called the divine sects was because they were a sect. And the divine domains were a domain. In this domain, there was not only one god. If the divine domains entered the vision of the Huaxia immortal sects, it was still related to the Dragon Palace. Half a year ago, the Great War between the Dragon Palace and the Holy Medicine Immortal sect had completely shaken the entire Earth. The experts of the Celestial Domain had come to inquire about the news. Since then, it was the first time that the Immortals and the Celestial Domain had come into contact with each other. In the following period of time, the Immortal sects and the Celestial Domain would occasionally contact each other. It was only half a month ago that the Puppet Immortal sect and the Greek Ancient Celestial Domain had completed a cooperation. The Greek Ancient Celestial Domain had ordered a batch of puppet items from the Puppet Immortal sect. The Western Celestial Domain could be considered to have completely entered the eyes of the Immortal sects. In the past 2 months, the Western Divine Realm had been in frequent contact with the Celestial sect. There were cooperation and disputes between the 2 major powers. However, there were not many disputes and no celestial immortals were involved. Let's give it a try. If we can form some cooperation with the Garden of Eden Divine Realm, it will be very beneficial to us. Wang Xian nodded. There's another matter. The Huaxia sect and the Western Divine Realm are cleaning up the powerful factions one by one. Mo Qinglong continued to report to Wang Xian. Oh, cleaning up the factions? What factions? Wang Xian asked in surprise. A group of immortal sects are preparing to clean up the other powerful factions in the subcontinent's domain. Meanwhile, the Western powerhouses are cleaning up the non-mainland factions and plundering resources. At the same time, they are also dividing up the territories and re-establishing the faction from 1,000 years ago. Mo Qinglong's eyes flickered as he spoke. Re-establishing the faction from 1,000 years ago? Wang Xian was deep in thought. In the past, the immortal sects controlled a large portion of the subcontinent's domain while the divine domain controlled a portion of the European continent's domain. The 2 major factions knew about the existence of each other. However, they did not interfere in each other's affairs. Now that the immortal sects had been reclusive for 1,000 years, it was time for them to rule this continent once again. Furthermore, by wiping out the other factions, they would be able to obtain a huge amount of resources. The various immortal sects wanted to use war to raise their strength quickly. Don't worry about them. We can just expand the sea area. Wang Xian smiled slowly. In order to develop, The various immortal sects wanted to conquer other powers in the world. Meanwhile, the Dragon Palace wanted to expand their territory in other sea areas as well. After Mo Qinglong's report, Wang Xian returned to the Dragon King's bedroom. Xiao Xian, we are planning to go to Sister Agaya's place for a few days tomorrow. Guan Shuqing, Lan Qingyu, and the other girls said when they saw him walking in. Alright, you guys go ahead and have fun. Coincidentally, I have some matters to take care of. After staying in the Dragon Palace for half a year, the girls were also a little bored. Wang Xian was very relieved when they went out. With Guan Shuqing around, even a superior immortal could easily suppress her. Feng Luan's strength was even more terrifying. After absorbing the blood essence of Bianjiang II, even Wang Xian was no match for her when she took control of her body. However, before I leave, Wang Xian laughed and pounced on her. Can't you be a little more shameless? Elder Fan and Tang Yinxian rolled their eyes at Wang Xian. They exchanged glances and walked out of the Dragon King Palace immediately. Guan Shuqing, Lan Qingyu, and the others were also speechless. The next morning, Wang Xian arrived at the east gate of the Dragon Palace in front of the group of girls. Behind him were Ao Chitian, Ao Qi, Ao Yaro, Prime Minister Gui, and Ao Jian, the 9 dragons. At the same time, there were a group of immortals in their clan. Apart from Wang Xian, there were a total of 22 immortals. Apart from the group of immortal gods, there were also powerful members of the Dragon Palace, 500 nascent realm and 40 half-step immortal gods. Today, we will occupy the sea area in the east. Wang Xian moved and jumped onto a dragon carriage at the side. The so-called dragon carriage was made of beast bones and grade 12 metal materials. There was a dragon chair on it, and Wang Xian sat on it. The 9 dragons moved and came to the front. Their bodies moved and formed 9 green ropes that were pulled on the dragon carriage. The Imperial Emperor personally led the expedition. Let's go. Wang Xian shouted softly and the 9 dragons rushed to the front. A group of members from the Dragon Palace followed behind and headed toward the sea area near the island nation. The sea area under the control of the Dragon Palace was about 500 kilometers in radius. After conquering that sea area, the Dragon Palace's territory would increase by about 200 kilometers. The 9 dragons were riding. In the Dragon Palace's territory, the aquatic creatures saw them and immediately respectfully made way for them. This was their king, and all the aquatic creatures had to obey him. This was the first thing they needed to understand after they had gained intelligence. It was also the first thing the civil officials of the Dragon Palace taught them. Wang Xian and the rest of them moved very fast. The 9 dragons swayed their bodies while more than 500 creatures followed closely behind. They were riding on the dragon carriage and were extremely domineering. The Dragon King has arrived. The sea area is right in front of us. Ao Yaroiro's voice sounded after half an hour. He pointed to the front and said respectfully. Wang Xian nodded his head and looked around. The speed of the 9 dragons had completely slowed down. There is a special energy in this sea area. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly and sensed the surrounding sea water with a puzzled expression. This energy was filled with corrosive and radioactive properties. Some weak creatures would undergo some changes if they stayed here for a long period of time. Prime Minister Gui said that this was due to the nuclear radiation, causing some changes in this sea area. However, the radiation energy is corresponding. Some creatures will die under the radiation energy, but some will evolve. This is also one of the reasons why the creatures in this sea area are stronger. There are 2 species here. One is the snake species, the Hydra domain. There are 2 immortal-level existences in the Hydra domain, one is a Hydra, and the other is a 5-headed snake. The second species is a killer crab, a 15-meter-long killer crab. Ao Yarrow looked at Prime Minister Gui and said to Wang Xian. Chapter 817, Crab General. In the Hydra territory, the Hydra possessed the strength of a superior immortal. This was an extremely terrifying race. However, with the strength of Wang Xian and the rest, they could completely surround and annihilate it. By devouring this Hydra, his strength would be able to immediately complete the first transformation of the divine dragon. First, subdue or destroy the race of the killer crabs. Ao Yarrow, you lead the way. It's the Dragon King. Ao Yarrow moved and directly rushed to a position on the left in front of him. Everyone followed behind him. Soon, Ao Yarrow stopped and vigilantly stared at the position in front of him. The sea here was about 4,000 meters deep. At the bottom of the sea was a sandy land. Under the sandy land, there were huge holes. Some of the holes were 2 meters in size, some were 5 meters in size, and some were 7 to 8 meters in size. Beside these holes, there was a plant that looked like a cactus. The plant was black in color and looked like a poisonous substance. It emitted a black glow. This is the place. Ao Yarrow looked at the Dragon King. With a solemn expression, he said, "Dragon King, these killer crabs are hidden in the hole. The hole is very deep and their attack speed is very fast. They will arrive in an instant. Moreover, the black plant beside them will stick to its body when it comes into contact with it. It has a strong corrosive effect. Are there many killer crabs in the infant stage?" Wang Xian's gaze swept across the area in front of him. Within a radius of more than 10 kilometers, there were densely packed caves. It was no wonder that there were very few creatures in this area. There are quite a few. There should be a few dozen of them. Ao Yarrow replied. A few dozen? Wang Xian smiled and said, "Let's attack. Leave it to us." Upon hearing Wang Xian's order, Ao Qi moved his body. 3 members of the Thunder Shrimp clan, Ao Qi, leaped up. The 3 immortal level odd shrimps raised the hammers in their hands at the same time. Lightning, spread. The hammers of lightning in their hands emitted a lightning glow. Streaks of lightning condensed on them. Crackle. The hammers of lightning landed heavily on the ground. Streaks of lightning spread forward and spread across an area of 10 kilometers in an instant. The entire sandy ground turned blue. Splash. In an instant, the sound of flowing water could be heard from the ground. Claws that emitted black light crawled out of the hole, and the limbs of the killer crab that had furry and sharp thorns crawled out. The killer crab had 10 limbs, and each of its limbs was a terrifying weapon. However, the killer crab that crawled out now had 10 legs supporting its body, and it seemed like it was about to dance as it trembled. Tens of thousands of killer crabs crawled out from the pit and were performing a break dance. The scene looked extremely comical. SSSSS. At this moment, a strange sound was heard. Wang Xian looked over and saw a huge killer crab crawling out from the pit in the middle of the pit in anger. It had 10 legs that were 20 meters long and each leg was 1 meter thick. However, what surprised Wang Xian was that his left leg was completely different from his right leg. The right leg was like a sharp sword, shaped like a sword. The left leg was like a piece of bamboo. At the end, it was a sphere. It was as if the right leg could be used to fight, and the left leg could be used to support it. "Let me destroy it." The belligerent Ao Chitian moved his body and attacked the killer crab directly. Hualala. The cries of the leader of the killer crabs caused the killer crabs to slowly surround and attack him. Their legs were trembling as they looked at Wang Xian and the rest. Ao Qi revealed a faint smile. He waved the hammer of lightning in his hand toward the sky. Bolts of lightning instantly appeared in the middle of the water. The other 2 immortal-level thunder prawns also waved their hammer of lightning. A bolt of lightning entered the sand once again. The group of killer crabs that had not reached the immortal level started to dance. This scene was very amusing. BZZZ. The leader of the killer crabs saw the look of his subordinates, and his face revealed a furious expression. He stared at Ao Chitian with cold eyes, and his body stood up straight like a human. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One by one, the limbs that were like weapons attacked Ao Chitian. "Go to hell, you little crab." A monstrous demonic flame rose from Ao Chitian's body, and his figure became about 8 meters long. The sea-pacifying needle in his hand directly smashed toward one of his limbs. The killer crab looked like it was 20 meters long, but in fact, it was mainly the length of his 10 limbs. His body was only about 2 meters long. Bang, bang, bang. However, when the sea-pacifying needle smashed toward it, the 4 limbs of the killer crab directly responded. One was like a sword, and the other was like a rod. They crossed and blocked Ao Chitian's attack. Then, the other 6 weapons attacked Ao Chitian directly. 6 20-meter-long weapons attacked at the same time. It was as if 6 people were attacking at the same time. Ao Chitian could not block them at all. Roar! Ao Chitian roared. Dark red scales covered his entire body. Dense demonic chi surrounded his body and blocked the killer crab's attack. Pa pa pa. However, the killer crab's body attack frequency was very terrifying. Without breaking through the defense, it attacked again more than a dozen times in an instant. Ao Chitian's hands wanted to stop it, but he was entangled by the other 4 limbs. Hiss! The killer crab suddenly kicked backward, leaving a 1-meter-long wound on Ao Chitian's body, and blood flowed out. The most terrifying thing was that the fresh blood quickly turned black. It was poisonous. This terrifying killer crab had a terrifying speed. Roar! Ao Chitian roared to the sky, and dense demonic chi entered the wound directly. The huge wound healed at a terrifying speed. This killer crab's attack is so strong. It's a kind of sword, a kind of cross attack like a soft stick. It's like the 2 mace in ancient China, and the mace is like a whip. There was a hero in ancient China who used the 2 mace, and 1 weapon in each hand would have a great advantage in battle. However, the killer crab is equivalent to 10 weapons attacking at the same time, and even Ao Chitian is at a disadvantage. Furthermore, the limbs of this killer crab are similar to that of the bone dragon. It doesn't have any elemental attacks, but it is extremely tough. It can withstand the attacks of the ocean-pacifying divine needles. Wang Xian's eyes sparkled. This killer crab was indeed very abnormal. Its limbs were already so terrifying even without any elemental attacks. If he were to take it in as his subordinate, he would definitely be able to defeat it. Wang Xian was intrigued. In the legends, there were shrimp soldiers and crab generals in the Dragon Palace. Now that there were shrimp, this crab could be taken in as well. If he allowed them to cultivate the demonic dragon transformation and develop towards the direction of the bone dragon, they would definitely become a powerful subordinate. There was a terrifying race in the universe, the insect race. They dominated with their terrifying numbers and powerful physical bodies. The form of this crab general was similar to that of the insect race. Chapter 818, Taming. The insect clan was a locust in the universe. Their most terrifying aspect was their reproduction energy. When their numbers reached a certain level, they could even devour a planet. Secondly, the leader of the insect clan had a terrifying battle form, possessing powerful physical strength. The GU originated from the insect clan. Thinking about the terrifying GU, one could understand the terror of the insect clan. The killer crab was similar to the leaders of the insect clan who had terrifying battle forms. If they cultivated the divine dragon transformation, they would definitely become a powerful battle clan that was not weaker than the demon war department. Roar, roar, roar. At this moment, a roar was heard. Ao Chitian's eyes were blood red, and the ocean-pacifying divine needle became 50 meters in size. He held the ocean-pacifying divine needle with both hands and swept it towards the killer crab. Pa, pa, pa. The killer crab's 5 limbs, which were like maces, coiled around the ocean-pacifying needle. Ao Chitian's eyes were filled with fury. He smashed the ocean-pacifying needle toward the ground. Boom! A terrifying force landed on the ground at the bottom of the sea. In an instant, sand filled the sky and filled the entire sea area. At this moment, Wang Xian realized that the 10 limbs of the killer crab had all shrunk back into its body. Its 2-meter-sized body was like a turtle. How did it shrink all 10 limbs back into its body? Wang Xian was stunned for a moment. Then, he realized that the ears of the demon monkeys could hold the ocean-pacifying needle. When some creatures reached the immortal realm, they would evolve a special ability. Apparently, the killer crab had also evolved a similar ability. Bang! The killer crab that landed on the ground was not injured at all. It opened its mouth. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. A sharp sound was heard. In an instant, the surrounding killer crabs rushed toward the leader of the killer crabs. Wait and attack. Wang Xian saw that Ao Chitian wanted to attack and immediately stopped him. He moved and came to Ao Chitian's side. He stared at the leader of the killer crabs curiously. The actions of the group of killer crabs were a little strange. However, What surprised Wang Xian even more was that a 3-meter-long killer crab came to the leader of the killer crabs and entered its body directly. That's right, it entered its body. Following that, the killer crabs ran over and entered its body directly. Regardless of whether it was 3 to 4 meters or a dozen meters, they easily entered the body of the killer crabs. Mother insect. This reminded Wang Xian of a leader of the insect race who could carry other insects. The killer crab in front of him could actually do it as well. This made Wang Xian exclaim in surprise. In just a few minutes, there are thousands of killer crabs. Impressive. Wang Xian's eyes lit up. He had to subdue this killer crab race. Not to mention its powerful attack power, even its ability to carry so many items made Wang Xian's eyes light up. Even if he had to subdue it and use it to store items, it was totally worth it. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes slightly and his body shook. A terrifying energy directly covered the killer crab's body. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, a group of members from the Dragon Palace flew to Wang Xian's side. More than 20 Celestials stared at the leader of the killer crab coldly. In an instant, the leader of the killer crab was a little dumbfounded. It raised its head and stared at Wang Xian and the rest with its 2 eyes. Around it, the killer crabs were also lying on the ground in fear. With the might of more than 20 celestial beings, even the leader of the killer crabs was trembling in fear. Surrender or die. Wang Xian sized up the red killer crab with a smile on his face. His cold voice was transmitted into its mind. The leader of the killer crabs moved a little. One by one, its limbs slowly appeared. Following that, it quickly dug into the ground, trying to burrow away. Buzz. Prime Minister Gui saw that an immortal-level cultivator was trying to dig into the ground to escape. He waved his arm and the rich soil energy fell directly into the ground. The sand began to condense and became extremely solid. The 9 dragons swayed their bodies and circled above the leader of the killer crab. In an instant, the leader of the killer crab laid on the ground. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. When the message of surrender came, Wang Xian showed a satisfied look on his face. Dragon blood essence wave directly fell on the head of the killer crab leader. BZZZ BZZZ. Dragon blood essence fell on the head of the killer crab leader. It was a little terrified of the disturbance, eyes twinkling staring around. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this time, a thunder spear fell in front of him. 3 killer crabs in the body directly penetrated it. Aochi and the 3 lightning prawns stared at the leader of the killer crabs with lightning flashing in their eyes. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The leader of the killer crabs immediately absorbed the divine dragon's blood essence. Dragon King. A voice entered Wang Xian's mind. Wang Xian revealed a smile on his face. His body moved and landed directly in front of the killer crab. The killer crab that didn't extend its limbs was only 2 meters in size. Its body wasn't very big. Wang Xian touched it with his hand. It was very hard and had lost its attributes. However, his body was even sturdier. Killer crab, level 13. Talent, Space of the Netherworld. Space of the Netherworld. The Netherworld stone is the material used to refine spatial items. Furthermore, the space hidden in his talent can still store living things. Wang Xian looked at the information of the killer crab and revealed a smile. Take your people. We're going to Hydra territory. Wang Xian said to the killer crab. BZZZ BZZZ. Suddenly, the face of the killer crab showed a look of fear. It kept saying to Wang Xian. What? Are you saying that Hydra is too scary to mess with? Wang Xian heard the killer crab leader's words, slightly frowned and asked. CICICICICI. The leader of the killer crabs nodded and kept talking to him. Cunning, wise, powerful, and terrifying. How many thousands of years has that Hydra lived? Wang Xian received these messages from the killer crabs and smiled. The intelligence of this leader of the killer crabs was at most that of a 7 or 8-year-old child. In his opinion, the terrifying enemy was merely powerful. As for the cunning and intelligence, even an adult's IQ could deceive the leader of the killer crabs. You don't have to be afraid with us here. Wang Xian patted the leader of the killer crabs on the head and imparted the cultivation method of the demonic dragon transformation to it. The main thing is to forge the bones and cultivate in the direction of the bone dragon. Wang Xian reminded it and continued, "Bring your clansmen and we'll go over." BZZZ, BZZZ. The leader of the killer crab cried out, and tens of thousands of killer crabs swam towards him, lining up to enter his body. Seeing the last killer crab enter, Wang Xian was amazed again. "Go, subdue or destroy the Hydra," Wang Xian said to Ao Yao. "The Dragon King." Ao Yao nodded. Wang Xian sat on the dragon chair of the dragon carriage. The 9 dragons rode on it and flew towards the Hydra's position once again. Wang Xian did not know that this would be the first time he was facing a powerful creature that was as intelligent as a demon. Chapter 8:19, Battle of Dragons and Snakes. The Sea of Snakes was the name given to the sea ahead by the killer crab, Ao crab, because there were countless snakes there. The area of the Sea of Snakes was about 100 kilometers in radius. In this 100 kilometers, it was the territory of the Hydra. In this area, and even the surrounding area, were all within the jurisdiction of the Sea of Snakes. Because the killer crabs were tough bones, the snakes could not digest them, so the killer crabs could survive nearby. Otherwise, they would have already entered the snake's stomach. "Dragon King, we have already entered the area of the Sea of Snakes. We have to be careful." As soon as they entered the area of the Sea of Snakes, Ao Crab said to Wang Xian in a panic. Wang Xian nodded his head and swept his gaze forward. In the sea area ahead, he could see sea snakes every few hundred meters. Among them, there were not only sea snakes. He even found some powerful terrestrial venomous snakes. Some snakes were 2 to 3 meters long, but there were also snakes that were more than 10 meters long. Some of the snakes had triangular heads, and some of the venomous snakes had sharp teeth that were exposed to the air. There were all kinds of colors. Looking at them, it was enough to make one's scalp tingle. Why are there venomous snakes on the land? There are even some shui mang among them. Wang Xian frowned slightly and revealed a look of surprise. This place could really be considered a sea of snakes. Many of the snakes were very weak and had not even reached the innate level. However, there were also powerful pythons, weird 2-headed snakes, and even 3-headed snakes. These mutated snakes were all very powerful. Let's continue. Wang Xian scanned his surroundings. There were many sea grasses at the bottom of the sea. Some snakes were hidden within the sea grasses, and their colors were the same as the sea grasses. Hiss, hiss, hiss. Seeing Wang Xian and the rest coming over, some snakes stuck out their tongues and made a special sound in the water. Soon, this sound was heard continuously in the surroundings, as if it was a special signal. Wang Xian looked at the snakes that were spitting out their tongues curiously and sized up this strange sea of snakes. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just as they were advancing a few thousand meters forward, suddenly, from the undergrowth at the bottom of the sea, dozens of strange snakes that were about 10 meters in size attacked them directly. Each of the 10 snakes had the strength of the Dan stage. Waves of venom shot towards them directly. Crackle, crackle. The sound of thunder and lightning was heard. A few infant stage members of the Thunder Shrimp clan released bolts of lightning and struck the 10 snakes directly. Hiss, hiss, hiss. After the 10 snakes died, the dense cries of the snakes were heard again. Moreover, the cries were even louder than before. Continue. Wang Xian was puzzled. The surrounding snakes were merely making their cries. He could not understand what they meant. They kept walking forward at a slow speed. Buzz, buzz, buzz. When they were about 10 kilometers ahead, suddenly, a stream of black poisonous liquid came from all directions. The poisonous liquid entered the water and turned the surrounding seawater into poisonous liquid. The poisonous liquid surged towards them and surrounded them slowly from all directions. Buzz. At this moment, a strange demon's figure moved and a bright energy swept out in all directions. Although the strange demon was not good at healing with light, the energy carried by the light attribute was still very effective against poison. Furthermore, it was the light emitted by an immortal god. As the light swept past, all the poison disappeared. The Sea of Snakes is filled with danger. It's very dangerous. Ao Crab looked around vigilantly and said to Wang Xian, "Advance." Wang Xian looked at the snakes that were screaming again. He was astonished. The attack from the 10 snakes and the venom was obviously premeditated. In other words, the snakes in the Sea of Snakes were ambushing the intruders. If that's the case, this hydra is indeed extraordinary. Wang Xian looked around. The venomous snakes that were ambushing them earlier left quickly. They were organized and disciplined. This was definitely not something an ordinary immortal creature could do. Wang Xian had seen many immortal creatures before. Perhaps the ones with the highest intelligence and the most experience were the immortal creatures from the wild beast immortal sect. Most of the other celestial beings that he had encountered were as intelligent as Ao Crab. They definitely did not understand so many things. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just as Wang Xian and the rest continued to move forward, the sound of water breaking could be heard. Wang Xian looked up and saw a dense cluster of poisonous fangs attacking them. In front of them, more than 100 poisonous snakes that were emitting a cold aura were staring at them. Each of the poisonous snakes was 15 meters long and lined up neatly. They had black bodies and pitch-black teeth. What they had attacked earlier was the venom that they had released. The venom was like teeth and was filled with penetrating power. 10 of them are in the infant stage. The rest are all in the Dan stage. Wang Xian sensed their strength and his eyes sparkled. Destroy them. Ao Chitian waved his arm and the group of demon monkeys attacked the 100+ snakes in front of them. Roar, kill. The group of demon monkeys moved and attacked the venomous snakes with terrifying attacks. The 100+ venomous snakes were nothing in front of the demon monkeys. One by one, the demon monkeys easily cracked the bodies of the venomous snakes. The two of them were on completely different levels of battle. Could it be that there are more powerful attacks waiting for me ahead? Wang Xian revealed a curious expression. The snakes that were ambushing them were getting stronger and stronger. This time, there were even 10 infant stage powerhouses. 10 infant stage snakes were sufficient to deal with many intruders. This is. Just as Wang Xian and the rest continued to walk forward for about 10 kilometers, they approached the center of the Sea of Snakes. At the bottom of the sea, a pitch-black semisphere was formed. It was a semisphere that was enveloped by black venom. If one wanted to enter it, one had to pass through the black venom. This venom is like a good formation. It used the venom to form a defense. It's really smart. This Hydra is really smart. After layers of defense, only immortal level creatures can enter it. Wang Xian's face was filled with admiration. If they weren't so strong, they would have died halfway. Could there be an even stronger existence waiting for us behind this venom? Wang Xian guessed in his heart. His eyes were flashing with red and blue light. Something's not right. This is not a layer of defense. The area ahead is filled with venom. In other words, there's a sea of venom within a radius of at least 10 kilometers. The Hydra should live in the sea of venom and establish its own territory. Even if a powerful immortal god was able to barge in here, they could forget about killing him. There was absolutely no mistake. The Hydra had established a perfect defensive space. Chapter 820, Battle of Dragons and Snakes 2. No wonder Ao Crab said that the Hydra is cunning, wise, and cunning. Just the layers of defense in this sea of snakes can tell the wisdom of the Hydra. The Hydra must have discovered our arrival by now. Wang Xian thought to himself. He looked inside with his penetrating eye. The thick poison blocked his vision. He could only vaguely see the mountains inside. Inside the mountain peak, there were poisonous snakes living inside. Wang Xian even saw more than 10 titan pythons that were more than 20 meters long. Prehistoric creatures, titan pythons. Hiss, hiss, hiss. At this moment, Wang Xian vaguely heard the sound of the tongues of snakes from inside. An incomparably huge snake swam out from a mountain peak. 1 head, 2 heads, 5 heads, a total of 5 head. A hint of surprise flashed across Wang Xian's eyes. In his blurry vision, numerous huge snakes were gathered around the 5-headed snake. This should be the 5-headed snake that Ao Yarrow and the rest have detected. It has the strength of a middle-level immortal. Are there some lower-level immortals other than the 9-headed snake and the 5-headed snake? Wang Xian was a little uncertain. This sea of snakes was not simple. If there were only 2 immortal-level creatures, he would not dare to believe it. They are ambushing us. Wang Xian could not help but sigh at their wisdom when he saw the huge poisonous snakes entering the soil. However, these toxins and ambushes are useless to us. Wang Xian revealed a cold smile and stood up. Enter the area. Prime Minister Gui, seal the ground directly. Ao Qi, attack the ground with lightning. It's the Dragon King. Prime Minister Gui, Ao Qi, and the rest nodded their heads. After entering the poison zone, the poison in the area wasn't too harmful to them. Attack! Wang Xian shouted coldly. Prime Minister Gui's turtle shell was covered in a burst of earthy yellow light. The light spread to the front at a speed visible to the naked eye. The entire ground was as solid as steel. Crack! Crack! In an instant, 3 thunder hammers landed heavily on the ground. The terrifying thunder and lightning penetrated the ground. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the area. 70 to 80 infant stage creatures were killed by the thunder and lightning. Damn it! Who dares to trespass into our Lord Baqi's territory? The sudden attack caused the 5-headed snake that was entrenched on the mountain peak not far away to reveal a look of shock. It roared loudly. Hey! The human language, the Japanese language? The 8-headed snake. Wang Xian revealed a look of surprise as he stared at the 5-headed snake. I am the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. I want the 8-headed snake to come out and submit to me. Dragon King of the Dragon Palace? You are the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace in China? The 5 heads of the 5-headed snake were exactly the same. A human-like shock could be seen in their blood-red, cold eyes. Heh! Wang Xian was even more surprised. This undersea creature actually knew his name. The 8-headed snake is the mythical beast of the island nation. Not only does this 5-headed snake know the human language, but it also knows its own name. In other words, it interacts with humans. A creature from the sea interacts with humans. This is really unexpected. Wang Xian was thinking about the myths and legends about the island nation. The 8-limbed snake was rumored to have 8 heads and 8 tails. However, there were clearly 9 heads here. It should be the evolution of the 8-limbed snake and the addition of an extra head. The 8-limbed snake in the myths could change the color of the world. Presumably, the current 8-limbed snake would be even more terrifying. It should not be something an ordinary superior immortal could deal with. Call your master 8-limbed snake over. Wang Xian looked at the 5-headed snake and said coldly to it. This 5-headed snake only had a huge tail. Its entire body was about 50 meters long, and each of its head was 20 meters long. Dragon King of the Dragon Palace, what are you doing trespassing my 8-limbed snake territory? When Wang Xian had just finished speaking, a head with 2 to 3 meters long blood-red pupils extended out from a huge mountain peak 5 kilometers in front of him. It stared at Wang Xian coldly. The head that was revealed was about 7 to 8 meters in size. One could imagine that this 8-limbed snake was about 100 meters in size. The language of China? Upon hearing his words, Wang Xian was shocked again. You actually know the language of China and even know that I am the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. Haha, I am the god of the 8-limbed snake, the supreme god. I naturally know about the Dragon King. The terrifying head scanned the surroundings of Wang Xian. He closed his eyes and heaved a sigh of relief. The 8-limbed great god, the supreme god. When Wang Xian heard the words of the 8-limbed great snake, he thought of the gods in the west. Different from the gods of the immortal sects in Huaxia, the powerhouses in the west liked to deify themselves. They claimed that they were omnipotent and established a divine sect to develop believers. Other than the descendants of the gods, the rest were all disciples and servants of the gods. They served the gods for generations. The hierarchy was strict. This 8-limbed snake was obviously imitating the Western powerhouses. It proclaimed itself as a god, established a divine sect, and had divine servants. There should be some believers in the island nation. Wang Xian stared at the 8-limbed snake with a solemn expression. This was an extremely intelligent and powerful undersea creature. Furthermore, it had its own power. This was the first non-human creature that Wang Xian had encountered that was filled with intelligence. Since you know about me, you should submit obediently. Wang Xian flew up from the dragon throne and transformed into the body of a divine dragon. He stared at the 8-headed hydra coldly. Dragon King, I am the supreme god. Is it possible for me to submit to you? I, Bhe, have lived for more than 2,000 years. I have witnessed the vicissitudes of history and the rise and fall of our country. It is impossible for me to submit to you. Furthermore, you do not have the qualifications to make me submit to you. Dragon King, I advise you to leave this place. A hint of viciousness flashed across the eyes of the Bhe serpent as it roared in a deep voice. Since I am here, how can I leave this place so easily? All the water tribes in the world are my subjects. All the water domains in the world are the domain of the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian revealed a dignified and domineering expression as he stared at the 8-headed hydra coldly. How could he leave? Even if this 8-headed hydra was as intelligent as a demon, even if its strength had reached the level of a superior immortal, Wang Xian was still unafraid. With the strength of the Dragon Palace, it was more than enough to subdue and even destroy the 8-headed hydra. Wang Xian was not sure if his current force was invincible in the entire earth. However, he was still confident that he could be one of the best. Dragon King, I, the 8-limbed snake, am not someone to be trifled with. Boom, boom, boom. The 8-limbed snake let out an angry roar when it heard Wang Xian's words. In an instant, heads shot into the sky one by one. The 9 heads were 50 meters long from the top of the 1,000-meter-tall mountain. Flames. Black flames emerged from its mouth. Black flames were dancing in its blood-red eyes. This is demonic flame, magic attribute. Chapter 821, Battle of Dragons and Snakes 3. Out of the 9 heads, the one in the middle was the largest. It was different from the 5-headed snake. The 9 heads of the 8-headed snake were slightly different. Some of the heads were decayed as if they were corroded by a powerful poison. The 9 heads were all emitting terrifying demonic flames. In this area surrounded by the green and black poisonous water, the 8-headed snake was like a world-destroying snake. Wang Xian moved his body and attacked Bhe at a terrifying speed. The rest of the members of the Dragon Palace also moved. Among them, 3 flood dragons attacked the 5-headed snake directly. Damn it, Dragon King, let's fight one-on-one if you have the gut. When the 9-headed snake saw nearly 20 immortals attacking him, including the Dragon King, a superior immortal, its eyes revealed a hint of embarrassment. One-on-one. If you lose in a one-on-one fight, so what? Wang Xian's face turned cold. The 6 flood dragons immediately came to the opposite position and blocked the Hydra's route. If I want to escape, you can't stop me. The 3 heads stared at Wang Xian's position while the rest of the heads scanned their surroundings. Their blood-red eyes were sparkling. Unless you hide on land, you won't be able to hide in the ocean. A cold smile appeared on Wang Xian's face as he stared at the snake and said in a deep voice, I really didn't expect your Dragon King's influence to be so strong. Half a year ago, you only revealed 18 immortals. Now, you have more than 20 of them. The 8-headed snake glanced at the members of the Dragon Palace with fear in its heart. If you submit to me and join the Dragon Palace, I can spare your life. Wang Xian stared at the 8-headed hydra and said coldly, Don't even think about it. How can I, the 8-headed hydra, become someone else's subordinate? I am a god who is high and mighty. The 9-headed hydra's huge head twisted and opened its largest mouth. It roared in unison. Since that's the case, kill. Wang Xian moved his body and a terrifying flame quickly condensed in the air. He attacked the 8-headed hydra directly. Among the gods, I am invincible. The head in the middle roared loudly. One of the heads on its left opened its huge mouth and a stream of black liquid met the flame directly. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The sound of burning could be heard. Wang Xian's expression did not change as he flew over directly. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the mountain under the 8-headed hydra cracked open. Numerous terrifying tails swept toward Wang Xian directly. The 9 tails came with an intense whistling sound and arrived in an instant. Wang Xian raised his dragon claws to meet them. Earth shields appeared around his body to block the attacks of the other tails. Crackle. Boom. Boom. At the side, streaks of lightning emitted blue rays in the pitch-black poisonous water space. Ao Chitian and 2 demonic monkeys of the immortal level turned the ocean-pacifying divine needle into the size of 50 meters and smashed it towards the 3 heads. Hiss, hiss, hiss. A corroded tongue moved, and the entire area of black seawater suddenly surrounded the lightning. BZZT, BZZT, BZZT. A scalp-numbing sound was heard, and the bolts of lightning were actually corroded by the poisonous liquid. Hiss, hiss. This is my territory. Here, I can unleash 150% of my strength. Dragon King, I advise you to get out of our territory, or else I'll start a massacre. The cold voice of the corroded head rang out. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. However, what responded to it were white shadows. 5 white shadows appeared at the position of its body, and a terrifying claw directly cut open its huge skin and flesh. The 5 white shadows left 5 10-meter-long wounds, each of which was about a meter deep. Roar. Damn it. The 2 heads let out an angry roar. The surrounding venom surged toward the spot where they were injured. The wounds healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. What? Ao Yarrow and the 4 subordinates were shocked. What a terrifying recovery ability. Wang Xian squinted his eyes slightly. His dragon claw grabbed a tail that was swinging toward him. Crack, crack. The powerful and sharp dragon claw slowly penetrated one of the 8-headed dragon's tails. Roar. The 8-headed dragon was in pain. Its 9 mouths were wide open and could easily swallow an elephant. The terrifying demonic flames attacked them directly. Demonic flames were different from flames. Demonic flames had the effects of corrosion and poison. Coupled with the surrounding poison, the demonic flames were even more powerful. However, the current Wang Xian was almost at the peak of the upper-level immortal. Furthermore, he was a divine dragon of the 5 elements. Water blast wave. Wang Xian's body trembled. The seawater outside surged violently as he rushed towards the area of the poison. I have used a formation to seal this area. It's wishful thinking if I want to disperse the poison here. I'm practically an immortal being here. He didn't care about the injuries on his body at all. He was 100 meters tall and had 9 heads. It would be extremely difficult to kill him. Furthermore, with his life force, he could definitely exhaust his opponent to death. The powerful seawater rushed over, but the poison didn't leak out at all. Wang Xian frowned slightly. He didn't expect this Hydra to know about formations. You won't die. Let's see how you won't die after I've absorbed all the venom here. Wang Xian's body moved for a while, and his entire body slowly turned green. With a wave of his dragon claw, seeds were sprinkled around him. 10,000 poison seed. 10,000 poison seeds were a bunch of precious seeds obtained from the Holy Doctor and Holy Medicine sect. These seeds were also used by wood attribute cultivators to fight. The sect of Holy Medicine and Holy Medicine had a few immortals who mainly used poisonous trees to attack with various poisonous plants. The 10,000 poisonous seeds were one of them. The more toxins they absorbed, the stronger they would be. The dense azure dragon energy entered the seeds directly. The 10,000 poisonous seeds grew at a terrifying speed. In just a short second, thousands of white vines that were thousands of meters long appeared in the surroundings. The venom in the surroundings had obviously become much thinner. Damn it! The blood-red pupils of the 8-headed snake changed. 5 of its heads instantly attacked Wang Xian. He shouted coldly. Numerous poisonous vines were rapidly wrapping around the 8-headed snake. Get lost. Its 2 tails met the dense vines directly. Pa pa pa. The vines were soft and coiled around the body of the 8-headed snake. Wood-fire mass concealment. Wood-fire mass concealment was a combined battle technique of the 2 great immortal sects. When the 2 fused together, it could unleash twice the amount of terrifying attacks. Hong. In an instant, raging flames burned. The most terrifying thing was that the burning flames of the vines crazily drilled into the body of the eight-headed snake. Bastard. Bhe let out a miserable cry and twisted its huge body. The terrifying flames were burning at the bottom of the sea, covering its three tails. Under the siege of the members of the Dragon Palace, the four heads could only defend passively. The remaining heads and tails that were fighting against Wang Xian only had 60% of their peak combat strength. The gap between them and Wang Xian was too big. Chapter 822, Battle of Dragons and Snakes 4. The gap was too huge. Divine dragons were already top-notch existences of the same level. Wang Xian was also a rare divine dragon of the 5 elements. Even though the 8-headed dragon was gifted, he could still be easily suppressed. Poison explosion. The 8-headed dragon's body was burning with flames. It was suffering from the attacks of lightning, wind blades, earth spikes, and strange demons. It twisted its body in anger. It opened its mouth and spat out balls that were half a meter in size from its stomach. Water shield. Wang Xian's expression did not change. A huge shield appeared in front of him. Crack, crack. The water shield cracked instantly. Black poisonous arrows shot towards him. The black poisonous arrows were extremely terrifying. They were filled with the power of corrosion. Earth shield. Wang Xian waved his dragon claw and another 20-meter-sized earth shield appeared in front of him. At this moment, a scream came from the side. An immortal-level thunder shrimp was hit by a poisonous arrow, and his entire arm turned dark green instantly. As expected of the superior immortal-level octahedron. Even with such a huge gap, it can still cause damage to the members of the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian spat out the wood dragon bead and the fire dragon bead. Kill. The wood dragon bead revolved rapidly around the fire dragon bead. The dense green dragon aura caused the flames on the fire dragon bead to smash toward the 8-headed hydra as if it had added an accelerant. Bang! A tail swept toward the fire dragon bead. Roar. The fire dragon bead let out an angry roar and suddenly turned into a huge dragon head. The dragon head bit on the tail. In just a short moment, more than half of the tail was bitten off. Damn it, 9-headed snake shadow. 8-headed hydra was in pain again, and its eyes were filled with madness as it shook its body. The surrounding venom surged crazily towards it, and one after another, demonic shadows that looked exactly like him appeared and attacked the surrounding area. Boom, boom, boom. The earth shook and the mountains shook. Even in the ocean of 5,000 to 6,000 meters, the entire seabed was like an earthquake, and the powerful 9-headed snake shadow covered the surrounding area. The demon shadow was covered with corrosion and venom. Release your defense behind me, Prime Minister Gui shouted softly, and the turtle shell on his back flew directly in front of him. The turtle shell instantly grew to about 20 meters, and the members of the Dragon Palace arrived behind him one by one. The wind shield, the dense demonic chi, the gate of lightning, and the ring sword defense set up powerful defenses in front of the turtle shell. Bang! 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 The demonic shadow attacked, and the terrifying attack penetrated through the layers of defense. Wang Xian also built up layers of defense in front of himself. Kill! Clang! The water dragon pearl transformed into a water sword and attacked one of the heads. Destroy! One of the heads opened its huge mouth, and thick demonic liquid gushed out from its mouth. With all kinds of negative attributes, it went up against the water sword. The water flow on the water sword kept on fluctuating. Streams of water energy blocked the demonic liquid. Whoosh! The water sword penetrated through and entered one of the heads. Sword explosion. Wang Xian shouted softly. The water sword instantly exploded into small pieces. Hiss, hiss, hiss. A horrifying scream was heard. One of the heads of Bhe was penetrated by countless water swords. Lord 8-headed snake, save me. At this moment, a scream came from the side. 8-headed snake turned its head and a cold glint flashed in its eyes. Sharp claws cut off the last 2 heads of 8-headed snake. Dragon King. The remaining 8 heads of 8-headed snake let out a low roar. Wang Xian smiled coldly and moved to the side of the 5-headed snake's corpse. He opened his huge mouth. Ding! Devouring the five-headed snake has increased the dragon energy by 34 million. The system notification came. Wang Xian stared at the eight-headed snake with a hint of greed in his eyes. As long as he could devour the eight-headed snake, he would be able to level up immediately. When he saw Wang Xian's gaze, the eight-headed snake could not help but shiver. "Dragon King, just you wait," the eight-headed snake shouted. Under Wang Xian's astonished gaze, his huge body actually shrank and finally took on the appearance of a human. However, this human's appearance was very strange. He was holding a beast bone with a human head hanging on it. He had 9 heads and one of them was hanging high up. His body was extremely weak and every head had a middle-aged face. His face was long and thin and looked extremely strange. He even had 9 arms and looked like a monster no matter how one looked at him. After transforming into human form, the 8-limbed snake moved and dived into a mountain peak below. "Go after him." Wang Xian did not hesitate. Letting go of a superior immortal with such high intelligence would definitely be a future trouble for him. His eyes flashed with a blue and red glow. His gaze locked onto the 8-limbed snake's body as he followed closely behind. There are actually so many tunnels. What a cunning rabbit with 3 burrows. Wang Xian looked down and followed closely behind. The vengeful souls won't disperse. "Dragon King, are you going to kill them all as soon as possible?" Bach's expression changed drastically as he roared loudly. "Surrender or die. You only have these 2 choices." Wang Xian waved his arm and a fireball shot towards him. At this moment, they were in the underground tunnel. Bach's expression changed slightly. With a wave of his arm, he crashed into another tunnel at the side. With a wave of his arm, the tunnel collapsed immediately. However, Wang Xian's eye of penetration could easily penetrate through some soil and sand. He broke through and followed closely behind. Bach's expression changed again. His speed was not slow, but he could not get rid of Wang Xian at all. The 9 dragons with the green dragon attribute could also follow behind and lock onto him. This made Bach's expression extremely awkward. The power of the Dragon Palace was far beyond his imagination. "You want me to submit? Impossible." The 9 heads gritted their teeth and fled into the distance. Wang Xian frowned and followed closely behind the 8-headed snake. In terms of endurance, a dragon's patience was definitely not something that an 8-headed snake could compare to. "Little 9-headed snake, don't make me lose my patience. When I catch you, I will cut off your heads one by one." Wang Xian followed behind and spoke slowly. Escape? There was no way he could escape. Unless a superior immortal came over to help him. However, it was obvious that he didn't have a companion of a superior immortal. The 9 heads of the 8-limbed snake broke out in a cold sweat. Their faces were extremely pale. "I am a god. I have been roaming the world for 1,000 years. How can I submit to others? Even if I commit harakiri, I will not submit. I didn't ask you to submit. I will devour you as soon as I catch you. After I devour you, I will be able to break through." Wang Xian followed closely behind with a smile. What a pervert. The 9 faces of the 8-limbed snake were extremely embarrassed. With a move of one of his arms, poisonous substances within a radius of 4 to 5 kilometers appeared. He sped up and rushed to the right. The 8-headed 9's actions were completely within Wang Xian's sight. He changed his direction and ignored the poison as he chased after it. "How did you still discover me?" A head was facing Wang Xian as he shouted in disbelief. Chapter 823, Tamed Bach. Wang Xian chuckled and stared at Bach coldly. He didn't say anything and followed closely behind. Bach gritted his teeth and moved for a while. The beast bone staff in his hand emitted a black demonic shadow. In an instant, thousands of identical figures appeared. The demonic shadow avatars flew in all directions. Wang Xian swept his gaze across them. His gaze was still fixated on the real body. Now, Wang Xian realized that it was a wise choice to modify the penetrating eye back then. Seeing that Wang Xian was still following closely behind, the 8-headed snake continued to flee with a dark expression. Time passed slowly. Soon, 5 to 6 hours had passed. The 9 foreheads of the 8-headed snake were covered in cold sweat. Looking at Wang Xian and the members of the Dragon Palace who were chasing closely behind, they gritted their teeth and continued to flee forward. His eyes flickered as he looked around, looking for the best escape location. Fortunately, they were in the sea. The area was larger than the land and the terrain was complicated. It was suitable for escaping. If they were on land, he would have been caught up. Wang Xian followed behind without changing his expression. The 8-limbed giant snake had 9 heads and could find the most suitable direction in the fastest time possible. On this point, one had to admit that the 8-headed beast was a demonic beast with extraordinary talent. It had powerful intelligence, turned into a human, and had terrifying strength and means. It was indeed worthy of being called a god and had believers. Is that the direction of the Dragon Palace? When Wang Xian saw that the direction of his escape had actually changed to the direction of the Dragon Palace, a thick smile appeared on his face. Dragon King, you will never be able to catch up to me. Let's just forget about it. We will not interfere in each other's business in the future. Dragon King, I am willing to give you a portion of my collection. Our feud will end here. Dragon King, can't we discuss this? More than 10 minutes later, the 8-limbed snake was getting anxious and kept shouting at Wang Xian. Wang Xian ignored him and followed closely behind him. He looked ahead and revealed a smile. Dragon King, if you push me too far, I will perish together with you. After running for a few more minutes, the 8-limbed snake roared furiously. His 9 heads were filled with anxiety. He had been running for 4 to 5 hours but still could not shake it off. If he continued to run, his speed would decrease. This made him anxious. His 9 pairs of eyes were spinning non-stop. Xiaolan, come and stop it. When he was within 10 kilometers of the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian shouted softly. Kuan, who had been staying around the Dragon Palace, swayed slightly when he heard Wang Xian's voice. His speed was extremely fast and his body size was terrifying. 150 meters was definitely the largest existence on Earth. Its skin was dozens of meters thick. If it wanted to kill this Kuan, even if 7 or 8 nuclear bombs landed on its body, they might not be able to kill it. Its body moved, and its eyes, which were the size of a house, reflected everything 10 kilometers in front of it. The Kuan's body moved, and it swam directly toward the 8 points. The Kuan's body was incomparably huge, and its speed was not slower than the 9 flood dragons. In an instant, it appeared in front of the 8 points. Bhe, who was desperately running for his life, almost wet his pants when he saw Kuan suddenly appear in front of him. It had a terrifying 150-meter tall body, a gigantic mouth, and terrifying eyes. Buzz. A gray area appeared on Kuan's head, and its body directly charged toward Bhe. Bhe's expression changed slightly. Looking at the gray area, he had a bad premonition. He raised the beast bone staff in his hand and pointed forward. The 3-meter-thick corrosive poison instantly formed a 1,000-meter-long poison pillar and attacked the Kuan. The terrifying poison sizzled as it landed on the Kuan's body. Its skin was instantly corroded 5 meters deep and 10 meters wide. What? However, Bhe suddenly let out a scream. There wasn't a single drop of blood on this terrifying wound. The Kuan didn't even feel the slightest pain. A terrifying force instantly struck over. Boom. It was as if the entire Kuan's strength was concentrated at the point of impact. This force was comparable to a full-strength strike from a middle-level immortal. And this full-strength strike was also a physical attack. In an instant, Bhe's body instantly collapsed. His eyes almost popped out. If it was not for his terrifying physical body and the strength of a high-level immortal, even if he was a middle-level immortal, he would have been reduced to meat paste under this impact. This terrifying creature could concentrate all the strength in its body into one point and release it. If this Kuan reached 10,000 meters, it could even hit the earth. This was also the terror of the Kuan. You can die now. Wang Xian saw the octahedron flying towards him. His sharp dragon claws clawed at its head. One of the octahedron's heads turned around. Feeling the threat of death, his expression changed drastically. How could the Dragon Palace be so terrifying? Plop. His expression changed drastically. Following that, he made a move that stunned Wang Xian. In the air, he resisted the urge to spit out a mouthful of blood. He landed on the bottom of the sea and knelt down. I surrender, I surrender. Wang Xian was slightly stunned. He extended his hand and the members of the Dragon Palace surrounded him. A look of fear flashed across Bai's eyes. He squeezed out a smile and said, I surrender, Dragon King. I surrender. I will do whatever you want me to do in the future. Didn't you say that you would rather die than surrender? Are you a god who is high and mighty? A teasing look flashed across Wang Xian's eyes. Now, you can commit suicide by digging your own stomach. Dragon King, I surrender sincerely. I have already enjoyed all the things that I should enjoy. In the future, I will serve the Dragon Palace and fight for the Dragon King. We will destroy the Western Sea God Sea region and unify the sea. Dragon King, you are mighty, Bai said to Wang Xian with a mischievous look. Wang Xian stared at Bai with a twinkle in his eyes. There was a hesitant look on his face. Bai looked at Wang Xian with a feeling as if he wanted to devour him. His expression changed. Dragon King, I have many underlings who can join the Dragon Palace. In the future, I will fight for you. Please give me a chance, Dragon King, the eight-limbed snake said hurriedly. Furthermore, I have collected many treasures over the past 2,000 years. If you kill me, these treasures will be gone. Give me a chance to serve you. He shouted loudly. The longer he lived, the more afraid he would be of death. The eight-limbed snake was the same. He was afraid that he would be swallowed by Wang Xian, so he shouted loudly. All right. In the end, Wang Xian decided not to swallow the eight-limbed snake. He was still lacking more than 10 million dragon qi. As long as he had some treasures, he would be able to achieve a breakthrough. The eight-limbed snake was still useful. Besides him and Shu Qing, there were no other upper-level immortal level members in the Dragon Palace. Most importantly, the eight-limbed snake had lived for a long time and understood a lot of things. His intelligence and knowledge were even higher than Prime Minister Gui. If he had not met him, he would have been an invincible existence in his territory. Chapter 824, Cooperation. There were millions and millions of snakes in the Sea of Snakes. However, there was one thing that these snakes were of little value. They didn't have any special abilities and couldn't be compared to the lightning of the thunder shrimp, the swordplay of the golden swordfish, and the violent attacks of the demon monkeys. Why are there poisonous snakes on land in your Sea of Snakes? Wang Xian thought of the poisonous snakes in the Sea of Snakes and asked curiously. Dragon King, in my territory, there are the most poisonous creatures on earth. All the poisonous snakes and even the poisonous scorpions have been captured by me into the Sea of Snakes. They are mainly used to quench the poison to increase my toxicity and help me in my cultivation. Unfortunately, the most poisonous poison now can only be used on a mid-level immortal, Bai said to Wang Xian with a smile. Quench the poison. Wang Xian looked at the poison on the arm of the thunder prawn. Its entire arm was pitch black. If Aochi and the other thunder prawn had not used lightning to block the poison, the thunder prawn would have been poisoned to death. Hee. Bai looked at the thunder prawn at the side. One of his arm turned into a poison and entered his body along his pale arm to suck out the poison. That's right. I raised all kinds of poisonous snakes to be poisoned. I have developed a method to extract the poison. Even if an immortal is careless, he will be poisoned to death. Bai said with some pride. Ao Yao, can you smear poison on your claws? Wang Xian looked at Ao Yao and asked him. As long as it's not corrosive poison, yes. Ao Yao replied. If you apply poison on your claws, it can increase your lethality by a level. Even those who are half a step away from the level of Celestials can assassinate Celestials. Wang Xian's eyes lit up. Poison was very useful. It could be used to poison a sword, poison a weapon, poison fog, etc. It was definitely a terrifying killing weapon in battle. As for using poison, it wasn't that it wasn't fair. In a battle between martial artists, the victor would be the king. As long as one could win, one would be the king. The history books were written by the victors, and those who died would be the losers. Therefore, poison was very useful. Why don't the Dragon Palace set up a poison department in the future? In the ancient dynasties, there were not only civil servants and generals, but also some technical personnel. Technical personnel were also extremely useful. This venomous snake clan could become technical personnel and be used to refine poisons in the future. Wang Xian stared at Bhe. Seeing his gaze, Bhe couldn't help but shiver. Swallow this. Wang Xian stretched out his hand and passed a drop of blood essence to Bhe. Bhe stared at the blood essence and his breathing became heavier. The transformation of a snake into a dragon was something that all snakes dreamed of. However, when he sensed the special energy contained within, Bhe's expression changed drastically. He looked extremely embarrassed. The submission that he wanted was not to be controlled or become a slave. Otherwise, he would not even have the chance to regain his freedom in the future. 1, 2. Wang Xian stared at the 8-headed snake and counted indifferently. I'll swallow. I'll swallow. The 8-headed snake's expression changed. In the face of life and freedom, he would naturally choose life. The 8-headed snake gritted its teeth and absorbed the blood essence. Something's not right. When Wang Xian sensed that the 8-headed snake was being controlled, his expression changed slightly. All 9 of your heads are separate life forms. You're really cunning. Wang Xian stared at him coldly with a cold expression on his face. Since that's the case, I shall kill the rest of your 8 heads. No, no, no. At this moment, his other 8 heads shook their heads in horror. Give them to us. Give them to us to consume as well. Chimpate. Wang Xian snorted coldly. He finally understood why the 8-headed snake possessed such intelligence. The 9 heads were all individual lives. They shared the same thoughts, but their learning speed was 9 times faster than other living creatures. If he controlled one of them, the other 8 would not be controlled. Wang Xian squeezed out 8 drops of blood essence and placed them in his mouth. They then absorbed it. After absorbing it, the 9 heads immediately lowered their heads and greeted respectfully. Greetings, Dragon King. Yes. In the future, when the Dragon Palace establishes the Poison Dragon Tribe, you will be in charge of refining all kinds of poison. Yes, Dragon King. The 8-headed heads bowed respectfully. Now, go and bring all your subordinates here. Build a nest near the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian continued to give him orders. Yes, Dragon King. I want to bring some of the items that I have collected over. In addition, there are still some matters that need to be dealt with on land. Please give me a few days, Dragon King. Bhe said respectfully. All right. Wang Xian nodded. Once he absorbed his blood essence, he would be 100% loyal. There would definitely not be any betrayal. Therefore, Wang Xian was not worried at all. Although this expedition did not allow him to achieve a breakthrough in his strength, it was a significant improvement for the entire Dragon Palace. Especially Bhe, he would be of great use to the future development of the Dragon Palace. Let's go back. The Dragon Palace had 2 new immortal god-level members. Wang Xian was very satisfied with the battle this time. He moved his body and flew directly toward the Dragon Palace. Kuan, who was at the side, shook his body slightly. The grey flesh on his body that had been destroyed was wriggling slowly. A wound that was 5 meters deep and 10 meters wide would definitely be a devastating blow to other creatures. However, to Kuan, who was more than 150 meters tall, it was just a small wound. There was not even any blood flowing out. The strong points of the Kuan were their physical defense, strong vitality, and unparalleled strength. They didn't possess elemental attacks, but they had an unparalleled attack method, which was to hit with strength. They could instantly burst out a terrifying strength and hit a single point. This was the most terrifying attack method of the Kuan. When its strength reached a certain level, it could destroy everything. Whoosh! Whoosh! Wang Xian and the members of the Dragon Palace returned to the Dragon Palace. Dragon King, Mo Qinglong came up to welcome him directly. How is it? Wang Xian asked directly. During this period of time, Mo Qinglong was discussing the cooperation with the Garden of Eden. Dragon King, the Garden of Eden wants someone with weight to go over and talk to them, Mo Qinglong said with a slightly bitter tone. His strength had yet to reach the level of an immortal. Oh, we're just telling them the conditions. What else do we need to talk about? Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. He didn't care too much about the success of this collaboration. It was just an attempt. After all, the other party was from the Western divine realm. Both parties had no understanding of each other at all. They directly asked for a person of importance to come over. I didn't even meet their god, Mo Qinglong said bitterly. Contact them. I'll go over and talk to them. Wang Xian thought for a moment and said. Chapter 825, Gods. In the Western European continent, there were a total of 7 major divine domains: the Garden of Eden divine domain, the ancient Greek divine domain, the Golden Pagoda divine domain, the Northern European divine domain, the Roman divine domain, the Dark divine domain, and the Holy Blood divine domain. There were quite a few gods in each divine domain. They were different from the immortal sects. These gods were high and mighty, and they had their own disciples. Their levels were almost the same: lower gods, middle gods, and upper gods. The power of the divine realm was much stronger than that of the immortal sects. Each divine realm had more than 10 or even 20 immortal gods. It was even said that the strongest divine realm in Northern Europe had more than 30 gods. Overall, if Wang Xian had not destroyed the Cauldron of Yu and the Holy Doctor and Holy Medicine Immortal sect, the difference between the powers of the immortal sects and the divine realm was not that great. However, Wang Xian had destroyed 2 cauldrons at once, causing the power of the divine territory to be slightly stronger than that of the celestial sect. The Garden of Eden divine territory could be considered a relatively strong divine territory. Moreover, their divine territory was suitable for the growth of plants and had many spiritual herbs. When he was collaborating with the celestial sect in the Western divine territory, Wang Xian had considered collaborating with the Garden of Eden. Once the collaboration was successful, the Dragon Palace would be able to increase the number of celestials by at least 10. However, he did not have much hope for the collaboration to be successful. Dragon King, we have contacted the people from the Garden of Eden. They said that if they want to talk, they would like you to head to the island country. Their god will be there to take care of things. On the second day, Mo Qinglong said to Wang Xian. Island country, is it? Let's go. Wang Xian thought for a moment before nodding. Activate the floating island and head to the island country. Get ready, we will head there now. It's the Dragon King. Mo Qinglong nodded. Wang Xian moved his body and flew towards the sea above the Dragon Palace. He landed on the floating island beside him. The floating island was moving at a very fast speed. It was not too far from here to the island country. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Wang Xian stood on the island. Suddenly, he saw a group of people flying past in the sky not far away. Among them, there were 4 to 5 immortals leading the group. Huh! Wang Xian had a surprised look on his face. Dragon King, they are people from the celestial sect of Jianghu. Recently, the celestial sect of Jianghu has joined forces to wipe out the forces in the subcontinent. Mo Qinglong explained to him. Wang Xian nodded slowly. He had heard from a Jia a few days ago. After the celestial sect of Huaxia forbade them from attacking, they were short of resources. Subsequently, some celestial sects joined forces and decided to attack other forces. Destroying these forces would allow them to obtain huge amounts of resources. In just a month's time, the celestial sect of the pugilistic world had conquered more than half of the subcontinent. Many forces with celestial beings had been wiped out. The might of the Huaxia immortal sect had once again spread across the entire world. The mysterious eastern country, which had been sleeping, had awakened once again. All the forces that had immortals in the subcontinent had been wiped out. Those who had surrendered had surrendered. The floating island was close to the imperial capital of the island nation. A huge snowy mountain in the distance could be seen clearly. Contact them, Wang Xian said to Mo Qinglong. Dragon King, we have already contacted them. Their people will be here to fetch us soon. Mo Qinglong replied. Okay. Wang Xian nodded. After waiting for about 10 minutes, the 2 of them flew over on their Pegasus. The 2 of them were dressed in golden continental European knight attire and they were equipped with knight swords. They exuded a pure continental aura. The Pegasus was extremely white and was at least 3 meters tall. It exuded an innate aura. This must be the Dragon King. Please follow us. The two knights gave a standard knight's bow and said to Wang Xian. Okay. Wang Xian nodded. The two of them mounted their horses and flew directly towards the snow mountain. Wang Xian followed behind them. Ao Jian and the gold race were followed by the two immortals. Mo Qinglong was at the back. They came to a small mountain peak beside the snow mountain. Cherry trees covered the entire mountain peak, making it very beautiful. There were houses halfway up the mountain. Two knights landed on a platform on a mountain peak and jumped down directly. Dragon King, please. Wang Xian nodded. His gaze swept across the surroundings. There were many wooden houses that were unique to the island nation. He walked straight to the front. Haha, Dragon King, please come in. When he came to a room in the middle, a hearty laughter could be heard. Wang Xian entered the room and saw more than a dozen people sitting inside. 11 men and 2 women were among them. 6 men wore divine crowns on their heads and divine staffs on their sides. They were extremely luxurious. 2 women had flower baskets and holy bottles beside them. Hello, Dragon King. I am known as the God of Light, the right hand of God. This is the God of flowers, the God of wood, the God of heaven, the God of trees, the angel. One of the white-bearded old men was emitting a faint glow. He introduced to Wang Xian with a smile on his face. Hello, everyone. Wang Xian smiled faintly and sat down at the seat that they had indicated. His gaze landed on 5 middle-aged and old men. These 5 men were dressed in black. In the middle of their attire, there were ferocious poisonous snakes. They were the local deities of the island nation. Dragon King, have a taste. Our Garden of Eden has used a special method to store the divine wine for 500 years. The effect of this wine is not weaker than a grade 6 elixir. In the middle of the table sat a burly old man. The old man was called an angel, and he was also of the light attribute. The God of Light, who was known as the right hand of God, was obviously respected by the old man. The gods in the West inherited their position of God. The position of God was fixed. For example, in the Nordic divine territory, there were the God of Thunder, God of Fire, God of War, God of Reproduction, God of Protection, God of Light, God of Darkness, God of Forest, and so on. It was the same as the gods in the legends. However, they were not those people in the legends. Instead, they were cultivated. Oh, is that so? Wang Xian picked up the red wine beside him with a smile and took a sip. It does have medicinal effects. Haha, Dragon King, we didn't brew this wine for its medicinal effects. It seems that you don't know how to taste wine, Dragon King. The angel smiled and shook her head gently. She drank the red wine slowly. It was a standard red wine etiquette. However, Wang Xian was not interested in it. Compared to wine, he preferred to drink tea. I heard that you have a lot of spiritual herbs in the Garden of Eden. I'm sure you have heard of our Dragon Gate Forge. I wonder if you have any intention of cooperating. Wang Xian went straight to the point. The actions of the Celestials from the Celestial Domain were filled with the etiquette of the European continent. They were like gentlemen. Wang Xian was not used to this feeling. Dragon King, what do you think of our divine wine? The angel did not answer him directly. Instead, he pointed at the red wine beside him and asked. 1 bottle is equivalent to a grade 6 elixir. Wang Xian replied directly. That's right. This is brewed using the brewing method of grade 6 spiritual herbs, the angel said with a smile. This requires 500 years of precipitation to reach such a stage. Wang Xian picked it up and shook it gently. Chapter 826, Conditions of Cooperation. What the angel meant was that they could use their own methods to refine items that were comparable to elixirs. Naturally, Wang Xian could understand. Their brewing method could indeed be comparable to elixirs, but it had a huge drawback. It required a long period of time to settle down. This was a huge drawback. That's right. This requires a few hundred years of settling down. That's why we asked the Dragon King to come over and have a discussion. The angel chuckled and asked, May I know how the Dragon King intends to cooperate? It would be even better if we can open the shop in the divine territory. If we can't open it, we'll give you 2 sets of ingredients. One of the ingredients will be the medicinal pill. Wang Xian said directly. This was the condition for the refinement, and it was very suitable. If he were to find another alchemist to refine it, he would definitely not give them as little as he did. The angel exchanged a glance with the group of celestials beside him. Following that, he nodded to Wang Xian slowly and said, "It's very reasonable. We will discuss this matter with our godly king later. It shouldn't be a big problem." All right then. Since that's the case, here's some good news from all of us. It's just some small things. I'm sorry for not paying my respect. Wang Xian did not expect things to go so smoothly. With a gentle wave of his arm, numerous straight daggers flew to the table beside them. A level 12 spirit weapon was quite valuable due to its exquisite quality. Haha, thank you, Dragon King. The group of immortals raised their wine glasses at Wang Xian with smiles on their faces. Wang Xian nodded with a smile. He took a sip of red wine and chatted with them for a while before leaving. This Dragon King is quite bold. The angel opened the exquisite dagger and revealed a smile. The Dragon Palace is the strongest faction in Huaxia's immortal sects. They are proficient in alchemy and weapon refinement. This collaboration is a good thing for them and us. The flower god beside him wove a flower on the dagger and said with a smile. However, the specific collaboration still needs to be discussed. The angel turned to look at the 5 island immortals dressed in black. Huaxia's Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect, Yongchang Immortal Sect, Great Flood Immortal Sect, and Beast Immortal Sect are all very powerful. What do you plan to do? Okra's angel, we won't submit to them. We invited the gods of the Garden of Eden's divine realm over because we want to discuss the cooperation. A thin and frail elder with a small mustache said to the angel with a smile. It has been decades since any immortal god appeared in the various major god realms. Currently, the most important thing for us is the resources. Tell me, how do we cooperate? The angel Okra picked up her wine cup and said calmly, "Now that the subcontinent has been completely occupied by the immortal sects, our 9 Snakes Association has quite a lot of power and spies. We will be useful in the future. I heard that the ancient Greek god realms killed 2 immortal gods from the puppet immortal sect." The thin elder smiled and said, "As you know, we have been enemies with China for generations. Okay, we will help you solve this problem." Okra's angel nodded. "Then we will invite the gods to come here tonight." The thin elder narrowed his eyes and said, "Okay, by the way, we will invite this Dragon King to come with us later. With this Dragon King around, this matter will be much easier," Okra's angel said with a smile. "After all, this Dragon King is from the Huaxia Immortal Sect. Will he?" The thin and frail old man said hesitantly. "This Dragon King doesn't have a good relationship with the Huaxia Immortal Sect. Don't worry, leave it to us." Okra's angel revealed a faint smile. "Then thank you to the gods of the Garden of Eden." As the thin and frail old man spoke, he placed an item beside him. The eyes of the angel of Okra sparkled. After opening it, a satisfied expression appeared on his face. "Everyone, see you tonight." After the gods of the Garden of Eden left, the 5 elders slowly stood up. Their expressions were as sinister as that of a venomous snake. The celestial sect of China has appeared, and the Western gods are still ruling the world. It's too difficult for us to survive in the crevices. Only when they fight will we have a chance to survive. The world is currently short of resources, and the ancient Greek gods killed the puppet immortal sects. In the future, there might be another war between the immortals and gods. More than 1,000 years ago, the Western gods were defeated, and the immortal sects even fought to the west. It would be interesting if a second war between the East and the West broke out. The 5 old men stood there in a gloomy manner. Their eyes were flashing with a venomous snake-like smile. "Hey, Xiao Yu." When Wang Xian returned to the floating island, he saw Xiao Yu and a group of young men and women on the floating island. Feng Lingtian was among them. "Brother, why are you here?" When Xiao Yu saw Wang Xian flying over, she asked curiously as well. They flew over to take a look out of curiosity when they discovered that the floating island had appeared by the sea. There are some matters that need to be taken care of. Why are you guys also on the island? Wang Xian swept his gaze across the surroundings and realized that they were all elite disciples of the major immortal sects. He stroked Xiao Yu's head with a smile on his face. Dragon King. The group of core disciples of the immortal sects looked at Wang Xian with some restraint and greeted him respectfully. Feng Lingtian also shouted nervously. The person in front of them was the superior immortal King Dragon, the most powerful force in the entire Jianghu and the owner of the Dragon Palace. The reason why they were able to be together with the younger sister of the Dragon King was also because of Feng Lingtian. This made them both nervous and excited. Why are there so many of you here? Wang Xian asked curiously. Brother, we were originally going to Sonya. In the end, the Wild Beast Immortal Sect and the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect came to the island to subdue the forces of the island. That's why we came here. Xiao Yu smiled as she held Wang Xian's hand. Subdue the forces of the island? A hint of surprise flashed across Wang Xian's eyes. Subdue what forces? The Nine Snakes Association. I'm not too sure either. Xiao Yu looked at Feng Lingtian, who was at the side. Dragon King, currently, the major immortal sects are unifying all the major forces in the subcontinent. Our 4 major immortal sects are prepared to subdue or destroy the forces of the island nation. They will give us a reply today, Feng Lingtian said respectfully to Wang Xian. The forces of the island nation? Which forces? Wang Xian frowned slightly and asked them. The Nine Snakes Association is the strongest force in the entire island nation. They have 5 celestials and they are not weak. If they don't give us a reply tonight, we will destroy them. A young man chimed in. The Nine Snakes Association? 5 celestials? Wang Xian was stunned and his eyes flickered. The Nine Snakes Association, if he did not guess wrongly, should be the people of the octahedron. And those 5 immortals should be the 5 immortals that he saw at the gods in the Garden of Eden today. It seemed that everything was not as simple as he had imagined. P.S. The last 2 shifts will be very late. I don't know when it will be so late. There will definitely be one tomorrow morning. Chapter 8:27. For the sake of resources, Huaxia's Jianghu forces wanted to unify the subcontinent. At present, India's side was directly destroyed under the attacks of the Shen Yuan clan and the Yuan clan. Some other forces, such as the Netherworld Fire God sect, were directly destroyed or subdued by the other immortal sects. As soon as the immortal sects appeared, the weak Huaxia was like a sleeping dragon, easily destroying the powerful subcontinent forces. Currently, in the entire subcontinent, only the forces of the island nation had not been subdued. This time, the Wild Beast Immortal Sect, together with the Great Hong Immortal Sect, the Yongchang Immortal Sect, and the Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect, went to conquer the island nation's most powerful force, the Nine Snakes Association. The Nine Snakes Association was the most powerful force in the island nation. It had a total of 5 immortal gods, a force that could not be underestimated. However, the Nine Snakes Association was nothing in the face of the 4 powerful immortal sects. The 4 immortal sects could easily wipe them out. Tonight, the Nine Snakes Association would give a reply to the 4 immortal sects. Wang Xian pondered for a while and looked at Xiao Yu. Xiao Yu, are you going over tonight? Yes, I'm going over to have some fun. What's the matter, brother? Xiao Yu asked Wang Xian curiously. It's nothing. I'll go over with you tonight. Wang Xian shook his head. If the Nine Snakes Association was really going to submit to the 4 great immortal sects, why would they meet the gods in the Garden of Eden today? Yes, all right, brother. Oh right, 2 immortal gods from the Puppet Immortal Sect were killed by the gods from the ancient Greek divine realm. The ancient Greek divine realm said that the Puppet Immortal Sect was too greedy and violated the treaty. Xiao Yu nodded. She suddenly recalled the news she received today and told Wang Xian. The gods from the ancient Greek divine realm have killed the immortals from the Puppet Immortal Sect. Wang Xian's gaze turned cold as a hint of killing intent flashed in his eyes. He knew a little about the 2 immortals from the Puppet Immortal Sect. They were definitely not the kind of people who would dare to ask for too much. They definitely did not have the guts to violate the treaty with a divine realm. A while ago, Wang Xian had a lot of contact with the two immortal gods of the puppet immortal sect. The two of them were considered good people and they were considered good friends. The forging workshop of the Dragon Gate and many other things were built with the help of their disciples. Speaking of which, among the immortal sects, other than the natural-born immortal sect, their relationship was the best. Moreover, after he destroyed the Holy Doctor and Holy Medicine immortal sect, the two immortal gods from the puppet immortal sect came over to seek refuge with him. In the future, they would only follow the orders of the Dragon Palace. Back then, Wang Xian didn't take a fancy to the strength of the puppet immortal sect and rejected them. When he wanted to forge something, the two immortal gods immediately followed him with great respect. He could be considered as a lackey of the Dragon Palace. He didn't expect that he would lose his life because of a collaboration, divine realm. A cold glint flashed across Wang Xian's eyes. Those who are not of the same race would have different thoughts. Wang Xian did not agree with this statement. However, sometimes, this statement was not wrong. You guys can play here. I will come and look for you at night. Wang Xian's mind was filled with thoughts. He nodded his head and looked at Feng Lingtian. After sensing his strength, he said to him, "Cultivate well. Your current strength is still too weak." "Yes, it's the Dragon King." Feng Lingtian's face turned slightly red as he nodded his head hurriedly. Xiao Yu smiled at the side and didn't say anything. Wang Xian's figure moved and returned to his room on the floating island. He hesitated for a moment and said, "Ao Jian, send someone to inform the strange demon clan and get them to investigate all the information in the divine realm. It's the Dragon King." Ao Jian nodded his head and immediately ordered his subordinates to report to the Dragon Palace. Ancient Greek divine realm. Wang Xian mumbled as his eyes sparkled with an inexplicable luster. "Dragon King, the Garden of Eden has sent an invitation." In the evening, the demonic azure dragon walked into the room and reported to Wang Xian. "Oh, an invitation? Let me see." Wang Xian took the invitation with slight curiosity. Cherry Blossom Peak. Wang Xian stared at the invitation with a face full of curiosity. With a move of his body, he flew to the location outside. At the leisure area, Xiao Yu and a group of core disciples of the Immortal Sect were resting on the island. "Xiao Yu, are you guys going to Cherry Blossom Peak tonight?" Wang Xian saw Xiao Yu and Feng Lingtian chatting. He came to her side with a smile and asked her, "Huh? Brother, how did you know?" "It's fine. You guys go first." Wang Xian saw Xiao Yu's curious look and said with a smile. Xiao Yu did not ask any further and continued to play. At night, Wang Xian flew towards the location of Cherry Blossom Peak. Cherry Blossom Peak was located next to the snow mountain of the island nation. It was the same mountain that Wang Xian went to in the afternoon, but it was not the same room. "Please, Dragon King." When they arrived at the location of Cherry Blossom Peak, an old man looked at Wang Xian and said respectfully, "Okay." Wang Xian nodded and followed closely behind as they walked into a cave that was surrounded by cherry blossoms. When they entered the cave, they saw a huge banquet hall. However, there was no banquet held in the entire hall at this moment. The people from the 4 great immortal sects were sitting in the banquet hall. The gods from the Garden of Eden were also sitting in the hall. One was on the left while the other was on the right. There were 5 old men from the 9 Snakes Association sitting in the middle. When Wang Xian arrived, he instantly felt that the atmosphere was extremely solemn. "Haha, Dragon King, please take a seat here." When the Angel of Okra saw Wang Xian, she smiled at him and said. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the surroundings and walked toward the seat beside the Angel of Okra without any expression on his face. In the hall, the immortals from the 4 major immortal sects were stunned when they saw Wang Xian. Xiao Yu was not too surprised when he saw Wang Xian. He was just very surprised. "Haha, everyone from Huaxia Immortal Sect, don't make things difficult for others." At this moment, the skinny elder who was sitting in the middle of the hall laughed out loud when he saw Wang Xian. The 10 immortals from the Wild Beast Immortal Sect, Yellow Heaven Immortal Sect, Great Flood Immortal Sect, and Yongchang Immortal Sect, who were sitting across from Wang Xian, had ugly expressions when they saw Wang Xian's sudden arrival. They glanced at Xiao Yu. An elder from the Wild Beast Immortal sect asked in a deep voice, "Dragon King, what are you going to do?" "It has nothing to do with me. I was just invited here." Wang Xian smiled faintly at the Ochre Angel and took a sip of the tea on the table. The Ochre Angel and the surrounding gods raised their eyebrows slightly. "Dragon King, the Friends of the Nine Snakes Association are our allies in the Garden of Eden. Now, your Huaxia Immortal sect wants to destroy them. Dragon King, you have some status in Huaxia. Please say something. It's not good for me to get involved in the matters of our Huaxia Immortal sect." When Wang Xian heard the Angel of Ochre's words, he finally understood. The Garden of Eden wanted to use him to solve the Nine Snakes Association's matter. He didn't know what agreement the Nine Snakes Association had reached with them. When he thought about the matter of the Puppet Immortal sect, his voice was a little cold. "Dragon King, no matter what, we can be considered partners in the future. This shouldn't be a big problem for you, right?" Hearing Wang Xian's rejection, the Angel of Ochre frowned and said with a twinkle in her eyes, "Cooperation is cooperation. It shouldn't have anything to do with other things, right?" Wang Xian said to them indifferently. His words caused the faces of the gods in the Garden of Eden to change slightly. Their eyes turned cold. "Dragon King, are you clearly not sincere about cooperating? Don't confuse cooperation with other things." Wang Xian shook his head lightly. "In that case, it seems that there is no need for cooperation between us." The Angel of Ochre looked at him coldly and said. Wang Xian smiled faintly and didn't say anything. Wang Xian didn't have high hopes for cooperation from the start. It would be best if it could succeed. If it failed, there wouldn't be any losses. Chapter 828 was not from his race. Wang Xian hated being used by others. Cooperation was cooperation. There was no need to get involved in other things. If both parties were sincere, he would help the other party even if the other party did not ask for his help. However, the cooperation was not completely confirmed yet. To ask for his help was asking for too much. Furthermore, because of the Puppet Immortal sect, Wang Xian was extremely unhappy with the Western Divine Realm. Upon hearing Wang Xian's words, the immortals from the four great immortal sects heaved a sigh of relief. They looked at Wang Xian gratefully before turning to the 5 elders from the Nine Snakes Association. A cold smile appeared on their faces. "Garden of Eden, this is a matter of the East. It's best for the Western Divine Realm not to interfere." The elder from the Berserk Beast Immortal sect stared coldly at the Ochre Angel as he spoke. "What do you mean by meddling in your affairs? The Nine Snakes Association is an ally of the Garden of Eden. If you want to destroy them, we will naturally take action," Ochre said with an embarrassed expression. "Huaxia Immortal sect, don't think that we 9 snakes will be afraid of you. A superior immortal. Our Invincible Lord is also a superior immortal. We are not afraid of you." Seeing that Wang Xian was ignoring the Garden of Eden, the frail elder growled in a low voice with an embarrassed expression. Let us give it a try. Today, we are only here to warn you. Choose to live or choose to die. This time, the 4 immortal sects are here. Next time, it might not be just the 4 immortal sect. The elder from the Wild Beast Immortal sect stared at them without any fear. His gaze swept across the gods in the Garden of Eden. "It is best for your Garden of Eden not to interfere. The 4 immortal sects are not afraid of your divine realm." "Not afraid? Then are we afraid of you?" The Ochre Angel lightly patted the table and looked at the thin and frail elder. "Tell your excellency, with all the powers of the Nine Snakes Association and our Garden of Eden, are you afraid of the 4 immortal sects?" The Ochre Angel, "Even if we don't include you, we are not afraid of them at all. HMPH, our excellency will not submit to any power. Our excellency is the strongest existence in the world." The thin and frail old man's eyes were filled with a fiery glow as he shouted coldly, "Is your lord an octahedron?" When Wang Xian heard their words, he could not help but ask with a smile. "That's right. The omnipotent octahedron god, the god with endless lifespan and wisdom, the strongest existence in the world." The thin and frail old man looked at Wang Xian and swept his gaze across Wang Xian with pride. The eight-limbed god of a superior immortal is indeed very strong. Wang Xian said faintly. Kchmph, of course. The thin and frail elder snorted coldly and said with pride. Dragon King, since you know that the Nine Snakes Association is very strong, you might as well form an alliance with us. The cooperation between us can continue. The Ochre Angel looked at Wang Xian and said with a solemn face. No, I don't trust you guys now. That's why I won't cooperate with you guys. Wang Xian shook his head and said with a smile on his face. The faces of the gods in the Garden of Eden changed, a cold expression appeared on his face. Since we won't cooperate, our Garden of Eden doesn't care about it at all. Do you really think that we want to cooperate with the Dragon Palace? If you guys didn't come looking for us back then, we wouldn't have cooperated with you guys. Now. Hehe, Dragon King, you are really interesting. Wang Xian smiled, he stood up slowly and said, if we can cooperate, we will cooperate. If we can't cooperate, we won't cooperate. Don't think too highly of yourselves. This is a matter of mutual benefit. Moreover, I don't believe in the credibility of your divine realm. Hehe, Dragon King, don't make so many excuses if you don't want to cooperate. Upon hearing Wang Xian's last sentence, an icy look appeared in the eyes of the Ochre Angel as she spoke coldly. That's right. Do you really think that the Garden of Eden is begging to cooperate with you? Do you really think that you are someone? In the eyes of the divine realm, you, Dragon King, are nothing more than this. The god of flowers, who was beside him, spoke coldly. Upon hearing her words, a hint of coldness appeared in Wang Xian's eyes as he stared coldly at the god of flowers. What's wrong, Dragon King? Don't tell me you still want to make a move. The flower god stared at Wang Xian fearlessly. The gods in the Garden of Eden stared at him fearlessly. Your Dragon Palace's strength is only similar to our Garden of Eden. If we add in our allies, the ancient Greek divine realm and the Nine Snakes Association, we wouldn't be afraid of your Dragon Palace at all. Are you guys on good terms with the ancient Greek divine realm? Wang Xian's eyes sparkled when he heard their words. All right, we don't have any time to chat with you guys today. Today, the divine realm of the Garden of Eden will tell you Chinese gods that the Nine Snakes Association is our ally. If you guys dare to make a move, consider the consequences. The Angel of Ochre stood up and swept his gaze across Wang Xian and the people from the four great immortal sects. His tone was filled with a strong warning. The puppet immortal sect is my friend. Just as OCRA's angel finished her sentence, Wang Xian suddenly said something out of the blue. Why? Could it be that the Dragon King still wants to avenge the people from the puppet immortal sect? OCRA stared at Wang Xian and said with a cold smile. Although we are not close friends, we have a good relationship. We will investigate it thoroughly. If it was intentional killing, we will consider avenging them. Wang Xian said faintly. Then, Dragon King, you might not have the ability to do so. OCRA's angel said with a cold smile. There is something fishy about the killing of two immortals from the puppet immortal sect. The Grand Elder of the Shen Yuan clan is even planning to investigate this matter. The Elder from the Wild Beast Immortal sect said from the side. So what if they are dead? So what if they are found out? Ochre said coldly. That's right. He's already dead. So what if he's found out? Wang Xian sighed slightly. Let's collect some interest first. Clang. Clang. As he finished speaking, Ao Jian and another immortal god from the Golden Swordfish clan beside him drew their long swords. Their bodies were instantly filled with killing intent. All the immortal sects in the hall were slightly stunned. Their faces were filled with astonishment. The immortal gods in the Garden of Eden were also filled with astonishment. They stared at Ao Jian and the other two people beside Wang Xian in disbelief. Even the 10 immortal gods and the core disciples of the Wild Beast Immortal sect were filled with astonishment. The two immortal gods from the Puppet Immortal sect can be considered my friend. Wang Xian walked slowly to the center of the hall. They were killed by the gods of the ancient Greek divine realm. Regardless of the reason, just kill them. However, I'm still a little unhappy. This makes my thoughts a little illogical. You guys have a better relationship with the ancient Greek divine realm. Coincidentally, the puppet immortal sect and the ancient Greek divine realm were killed because of business cooperation. We didn't have a good agreement because of business cooperation and business matters. In that case, I'll kill all of you to make me feel better. Chapter 829, Kill Them. Stunned, shocked. Everyone in the room was shocked when they heard what Wang Xian said. What the Dragon King said was too overbearing. The ancient Greek divine realm has a good relationship with you guys. I am not happy that my friend, the celestial god of the puppet immortal sect, was killed. Since our business is not doing well, I will use you guys to make up for the unhappiness in my heart. Wang Xian's way of doing things was completely the same as the ancient Greek celestial realm. 2 celestial gods from the puppet immortal sect were killed. The ancient Greek celestial realm directly said that the puppet immortal sect didn't keep their word and was pushing their luck. Now, I will also kill all the gods in the Garden of Eden celestial realm. It can also be said that you guys didn't keep your word. This overbearing way of doing things shocked the 4 great celestial sects. At the same time, they also felt very good. Damn it, you can kill the people of our Huaxia immortal sect, but why can't we kill you? Anyway, it was a kind of nihility. Although this method was very comfortable, among all the immortal sects in Huaxia, none of them dared to do this because every divine realm was stronger than the immortal sects. If the immortal sects didn't join forces, they wouldn't be able to contend with the divine realm. But now, the Dragon King dared to do it. This made them feel a sense of relief. The disciples of the 4 immortal sects stared at Wang Xian with admiration. Some of the female disciples wanted to marry him. When the 8 gods of the Garden of Eden heard Wang Xian's words, their faces instantly turned cold. When they saw Ao Jian and Ao Jian, who were full of killing intent, behind Wang Xian, they looked embarrassed. Dragon King, do you mean to kill us? The eyes of the Angel of Ochre sparkled as she said coldly, do you really think you can kill us with just the 2 of you? That's more than enough. Wang Xian turned his body to the side and released a terrifying pressure instantly. The power of a superior immortal instantly filled the entire room as traces of killing intent brewed in the air. The faces of the gods in the Garden of Eden changed slightly. Each of them held the divine staffs in their hands tightly and pointed them at Wang Xian. Dragon King, do you want to be enemies with the Garden of Eden? So what if we are enemies? You guys are too annoying. Wang Xian said coldly. Stop it, Dragon King. This is the territory of the 9 Snakes Association. Don't be impudent in our territory. The expressions of the 5 elders changed instantly. They stood up immediately and stood beside the gods in the Garden of Eden. They stared at Wang Xian with an embarrassed expression. This is my territory, Wang Xian said to the elder indifferently. Your territory? Hehe. Our Lord Bhe is not afraid of you, Dragon King, the elder said with a sinister look in his eyes. Then call Bhe over. Otherwise, I will make my move. Wang Xian smirked at the 5 elders of the 9 Snakes Association and said with a mocking look in his eyes. He spat out 3 Dragon Balls which contained a terrifying power. The 3 Dragon Balls were suspended in the air and could launch a terrifying attack at any time. Dragon King, if you dare to make your move, the Garden of Eden will not let you off. Sensing the power of the 3 Dragon Balls, the faces of the gods in the Garden of Eden changed slightly as they spoke with a solemn expression. Crack, crack. At this moment, a cracking sound was heard. The thin elder of the 9 Snakes Association was holding a cracked snake head in his hand. Dragon King, you forced me to do this. Our great god of 8 orbs doesn't have a good temper. If you anger him, even if you are the Dragon King, you will have to pay a heavy price. The thin elder said coldly. Why did you call me? At this moment, a slightly impatient voice came from underground. Ochre's angel was slightly delighted, and a light flashed in his eyes. He immediately shouted, Lord Bhe, we are the gods of the Garden of Eden. We hope to cooperate with the 9 Snakes Association to deal with some fellows who are courting death. Lord Bhe, someone is disrespecting the 9 Snakes Association and wants to kill us and all the guests of the Garden of Eden. The thin and weak elder hurriedly shouted. Superior Immortal, There really is a superior immortal in the Nine Snakes Association. Hiss, it can't be. A small force actually has a superior immortal. The sudden appearance of the voice startled everyone from the 4 great immortal sects. Even the 10 immortal gods frowned. They had heard of Bhe from the Nine Snakes Association, but they had always treated him as a mythical creature. If these mythical creatures really existed, then to the 4 great immortal sects, they were also a very powerful existence. After all, they were powerful upper-level immortals. Crack, crack, crack. A crack appeared on the ground, and a long hand stretched out from the ground. With a gentle wave of its white and slender arm, a hole appeared. A head appeared. The head was somewhat slender, and its face was extremely pale. It had a pair of extremely cold eyes. However, what was even more shocking was that after the head appeared, a second, third, and fourth head appeared. Everyone around had shocked expressions on their faces. They stared at the 9 heads with solemn expressions. The monster gave off a cold and gloomy expression. 9 heads and 9 arms. It gave off an extremely sinister feeling. Great God Bhe, it's him. He wants to kill us, and he also wants to kill our distinguished guests in the Garden of Eden. The skinny elder quickly laid his body on the ground and spoke to Bhe as though he was in awe of God. The other 4 elders were also lying on the ground. Their respect was as though they were slaves. He wants to kill all of you and him. When the Bhe serpent came out, a few of the 9 heads had already spotted Wang Xian. However, he did not greet him immediately. As an extremely intelligent 8-headed snake, he knew what was best for him. Yes, Lord 8-headed snake. We are currently cooperating with the 9-headed snake society. This Dragon King actually wants to destroy us. Please help us, Lord. In the future, the Garden of Eden will definitely reward you handsomely. When Okra saw the 8-headed snake appear, he glanced at Wang Xian with a smile on his face. Then, he cupped his hands and said, "Is that so?" Octavia slowly nodded his head. His 9 heads stared at the Octavia angel. Suddenly, the 9 heads opened their mouths at the same time, and their terrifying tongues swept towards the Octavia angel. The Octavia angel was instantly stunned. His pupils dilated, and a look of terror appeared in his eyes. However, Octavia was a high god after all. His strength was definitely not something a god could withstand. Lord Bhe, are you trying to? The 9 terrifying tongues became 7 or 8 meters long, wrapping around Okra's body. A dense amount of light energy surged from his body as he roared loudly, wanting to break free. Lord Bhe. The faces of the other Garden of Eden gods changed dramatically, and the divine staffs in their hands began to emit terrifying power. Keek, a bunch of bastards who want to die. The 8-limbed serpent's 9 arms were like venomous snakes, directly growing longer. The serpent heads instantly bit onto the bodies of the Garden of Eden gods. In less than a second, the bodies of the gods turned pitch black. The terrifying poison caused the lower gods to instantly lose all their offensive power. The Dragon King said that he wants to kill you all, so let's kill you all.